Oh yeah, he ended the meeting, but that's okay. Yeah. It might be good to have a refresh. Yeah.
Coming back onto Zoom, guests and chat.
Yeah.
Bizarre. So we, you guys can hear me clearly, right? So that's good. I can hear you, so it's not.
Yeah, you sound perfect. Yeah. Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah. A little bit of problems now and then. It's okay. We need something to overcome. Yeah.
Good to see you. I don't think I've ever really. I think the last time we were on this together, we were both without cameras. So.
Oh, that might be. Yeah. Yeah. That's so good to see you guys. Yeah. Hey, here comes Will too. Yeah. Hello.
Hi guys.
Hey, welcome. Yep.
No. How you doing?
Yeah, you need to give it some fiber so it digests better. So, yeah.
Well, they implement so much stuff, and it's like, that's why it's always, logging in beforehand like you do is always best.
I see that Trollords is doing an homage to the trip your players had.
Oh, yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, that one is fantastic, that image.
Yeah, that new artwork is really awesome. Nice. He's a cute guy. He should be in front of the camera more often.
Oh, yes, he should be on the show way more often. I agree. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, he got a job. Yeah.
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 Well, come on, you have contractual agreements.
Yes. Yep. Kind of. Yeah.
Verbal agreements can be upheld in law, Jay.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what? We're starting early. You could still run. I'd say so.
Uh-oh. Okay. Yep.
Oh, a lot.
Oh, come on. Nobody reads the exact specifications. I mean, you just kind of like.
Or listens to Jay, depending on who's talking.
There you go.
I know Cannon Fire's still 5 Legends of Lore behind on their banners.
Yes.
That's almost as bad as the green screens. Remember when that happened?
Yeah, that was fun. Hey, Jason
Oh, yeah.
Zavoda is no longer a VIP.
Yeah, but that was the NVIDIA had some drivers that changed that. Turned it green.
I looked at the users in the chat and it's still down.
Now, are you guys seeing and hearing me well? I'm getting.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, you're great. You've never been better. So yeah.
I'm freezing up on you guys. It's my internet connection says it's on.
Yeah, but you know you have your 10 seconds. If you talk for more than 10 seconds, that you freeze it. So yeah.
So you just
That
get
reminds me
snippets.
of. Remember when Dia and Shane had that afternoon show where they drank beer and shot the shit? And it's like we had Joe Block on, and Joe would go silent if he talked too long. So after about 15 seconds, he had to stop, take a drink, and then he would catch up.
So it's like one of those drinking games. It's
Yeah.
like Joe would be just like trash at the end of it.
I think it's a lot of Wi-Fi's are set up that way that they buffer things. So when you go on too much, then it buffers and you get like it. So you say plug it in on an Ethernet cable and it will work way better.
They need that buffering when I have these things at work. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
If they would
Oh
shut
yeah,
people up every
exactly.
15
When you get work meetings, then you unplug the Ethernet so you can have all the
Exactly.
excuse for things to go haywire, and then when you need for gaming and private use, then you plug in the gigabit Ethernet so you get a real stable connection.
So it's no issue also. So it's no issue not being on like mic. You know, it's like you just have a computer mic. There's no like reverb or anything like that.
No, you're good.
Good.
Yeah.
No worries, it's all good.
I think people actually expect it. They tune in.
Oh, no sound, Jay. No sound. No sound. They can't hear you.
They hear us?
I don't know. We'll
Yeah.
see. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
they
just
can
heard.
hear us, but not you.
Not Jay.
Now we can't hear you. Yeah, now we can hear you. See,
He's one of the silent ones.
it's silent ones. Hi, Carlos. We'll see. We'll see if you. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm going in and out.
This is the time of issue. You have issues. If something can go wrong today, it will. No J. Okay, no J. Mm-hmm. Now we
Maybe
can
it's a
hear you.
reboot again.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. A third reboot here.
Maybe check your audio on your Zoom. Make sure it's on the set for the right one.
Yep.
Now it's not. Now it's set for the wrong one on the Zoom because now we can't hear you. So
Yeah.
now we
Yes.
can hear you. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oh yes, now they can hear you too. No, I was saying. Oh no, they can't. Yeah.
There you go.
It's something in XSplit.
I got
I'm
it.
sure. Yeah.
I got it. How about now?
See if they can
Hear me
yeah.
now?
Woohoo! There it
yes.
is.
All right.
Awesome. It works.
Okay.
Perfect. It works. There you
All
go.
right.
Yep. Mhm.
All right. So what happened was, all right. Thank you. What happened was the following. I've never had this happen before, but we're ready to go live at a quarter of, and it wouldn't. XSplit wouldn't detect an ingest server, which is like, and with XSplit, Carlos knows, you go in and it connects to a server and go, it wouldn't connect. So to reboot the whole system, well, it reset my headset in XSplit and wiped it so that's the way you hear me. So you don't need a technical background. Thanks for coming on. I'm J.K. Lorcazamba. We got Anna Meyer, and we got
Hello.
the on hiatus Mike Bridges, but
Hiatus.
Hiatus.
on hiatus. That's
Yeah.
that's Mike. Yes, it was the flux capacitor or
It's
something
sort of
like
like
that.
the Pope. What is that? The one Pope who wasn't the Pope anymore. He was the Pope in.
Empty. Oh,
Yeah. Pope
Yeah.
Emeritus.
So your blogger hiatus, it's sort of like the same thing where
Yeah.
you're
I'm
blogging.
an anti blogger.
Yeah, you're just not active.
Emeritus.
Artist formerly known as Greyhawk.
But thank you all for coming on tonight. So we had a Greyhawk bloggers way back in I think in the 70s or maybe in the 50s on a cabin, and it was a great show. So I think this one we wanted to get all the bloggers back and welcome Will to the bloggers group, right? Because Will's doing a regular blog now and have a nice discussion on various topics and what's going on in the future of blogging. And I thought this would be a cool thing to keep on moving forward. So let's introduce everyone else and go about what you're doing now. Let's go from senior to least senior. How's that sound? Right? So we
Now,
start
You're talking about senior as in
on blogging.
how long you've been blogging?
Yes. So we know who we start with, the legend himself, Jason Zavoda, right?
Well, no. Actually, Mike's got to been
Well,
blogging.
Mike's a host.
Oh, Mike doesn't
Barely.
count.
Yes.
Barely.
All right, Mike. So we'll start with Mike. Mike, go ahead, Mike. Mike Bridges, a host on Legends and Lore and the longest of the bloggers here. Go for it, Mike.
I'm starting the whole thing off.
Sure. Start off to say what you've done in the last couple of years.
Okay, Greyhawkery last 11 years. Comics, articles, you name it. If it's Greyhawk related, news, promoting Cannon Fire, Dragon's Foot, you name it.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And you're still working on Greyhawk because you're cleaning up links, correct?
Yeah. I'm working at the earliest posts going forward, so I'm up to 2014, almost done with 2014. There's a lot of 4E era stuff out there. Wizards moved their website over and messed up a lot of my links. Gary Holian moved over Cannon Fire to something, and it messed up a lot of my links. Wiki links are wrecked. So that's fun.
So what Mike is saying is none of it's his fault. I like it.
My blog's ruined.
Yep.
What year are you in fixing it?
2014.
All right, so a year every 2 weeks, roughly.
Yeah.
It's not
But
too
that's
Yeah.
the thing. You run a blog for 10 years, and then you have to take a hiatus for at least 5 to maintain it for the next 10 years. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to this discussion, Mike. So thank you, and for being a regular on here and a mainstay.
Yeah.
And let's go
This is much more fun.
now to Jason Zavoda. Jason, good to see you back and that you're feeling
Hey,
well.
it's great to be back. It's good that Mike went first because Mike is why I started blogging in 2011, and I saw. I knew Mike first as Mortellon and his comics, and then I saw his blog much later, and it got me interested. And I didn't start with the Greyhawk stuff at first, not much, and then then I pretty much got solidly so that my blog Hall of the Mountain King got to the end where it was just all Greyhawk. I stopped doing anything but Greyhawk content in what I wanted to talk about on that blog. Now, I had that on Blogger, and they've been changing it over the time, so I've kind of shifted over to doing my blog on Cannon Fire. Now, the Cannon Fire website has these journals pages, so anybody who wants to can come over and either mirror another like a blog on Cannon Fire, just to have it there, and it handles pictures, it handles the text. It's very simple. The journal's very simple, but you can pretty much just, I've been transporting my older stuff and doing newer stuff at the same time. And I was sick for a while, so I've gotten back, and I'm trying to get back into my daily posting of something. And so I have shifted. If you go to the Hall of the Mountain King as a blogger, you'll notice that there hasn't been anything new in a while. I also have a resource blog called Vault of the Mountain King, and that is no text. It's all just various illustrations that I pick up and I use, and I try to categorize them. Like if you want to see various real world castles, or stuff about Vikings, or stuff about from various real world artists, you can look there. There's at this point there's a couple thousand illustrations on there. It's a very handy resource for me to just scan in something or get something from the internet and a locale for it. And that's about the only thing I'm updating right now is the Vault. Hall is now on Cannon Fire. So
I say it counts still though, right? Because you're still blogging.
yeah, it's a blog. I mean,
Yeah.
he calls it a
it's kind of funny. Because I started my blog because I used to post articles on Cannon Fire, and the pace was too slow for me. So I started blogging. Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started my website because I couldn't host my maps on Cannon Fire. That's the reason
it's
I
a lot of
started my
space.
website. Yep.
Yeah, and you needed terabytes upon terabytes.
Oh yeah, I'm terrible. Yeah. Yep.
Jason, welcome back for this fun discussion. Now, this was you two are neck and neck, David and Tommy, right? David edges out Tommy by about 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
No. I had him by 6 months.
6 months. There you go.
I had him by 6 months.
Tommy, you're up. Welcome back, man.
All right, thanks. But David has like more views than me, so I don't know.
But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, really. I mean, that would be like me saying, I got more followers than Blue Box does. You know, it doesn't
Jason
matter.
has more posts than me.
Tell you what, David and I are both. It's the same story as Jason. We were both like longtime Mike Bridges fans, and we didn't know each other or anything like that. But we're just like these secret Mike Bridges fans, and
President and vice president.
yeah, right. And at a certain point, we just jumped in the game. We're like, I want to do that too. So that's, we've already had this conversation, but maybe not everybody's heard this conversation about our adoration of Mortellin.
So I'm going to tell you this. This is a definite to everyone. We have so many more new people in the community since that first show back on Gavin. A lot. I'd say it's doubled, and it's a lot of people like Troy, Cannibal, Patrick, Canadian Gamer. None of them were around for that show, so this is a good opportunity for a lot of people who have just, to experience this. Plus, we'll have some other questions. We'll have some fun discussion tonight. So, and Tommy's got some great, unbelievable stories about one of my favorite time periods of all time, right? The Hateful Wars. Just wonderful stuff.
You know it, and what's coming up is like I'm just on the edge of introducing your material there, so you just hold tight.
Awesome! Very, very cool. So we got some really cool things going on there, and I really appreciate that. And I'm going to ask one question about that tonight, I'm sure. And then we got David Leonard. David, what's up?
Hello. Yeah, so I'm the Greyhawk music guy. I've got both the blog on Blogger, and I've got the Greyhawk Musings Facebook page as well. So that's even more recent than the blog itself. So the way I got into it was I was just, curious about the game all over again. It also, it's like, the whole nostalgia thing. And I finally started just, searching the internet and found a couple of blogs. It also, but I also found the original legends and lore that was posted by DM Shing, his Greyhawk site. Started watching that, and I started thinking to myself, but also as I started, because I recognized Mike's name and the references to his blog, went to that, started reading, and then they started calling out that that they're always looking for more people in the community producing, bringing light to the setting. And I remember buying that gold box back in '83, and I thought to myself, I could probably take a stab at that.
Absolutely.
So I began doing that, and then since then, like the Facebook page, which was honestly that was my campaign page a long time ago, and that was just languishing, and so I just renamed it by the blog, and it was mainly just to how to put it, to highlight my own stuff. And then I just began to start searching out more and more and more blogs. And I thought, you know what, let's start sharing this and spread the love around a whole lot. So if anybody knows, I kind of have a bit of a schedule. It's a loose schedule, but it's a schedule. So I always post something from Tommy's blog on Mondays for Greyhawk stories. And on Saturdays, it looks like I've been doing that age-old 1980s Greyhawk, or not Greyhawk, but D&D cartoon, but also Mike's comic from way back when, Castle Greyhawk.
Saturday morning. Yep.
And spreading the love around. It also, it's like I'm trying to drag as much interest into all the bloggers who are out there. So that's my story.
Plus, your Facebook page is going crazy on leaps and bounds too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I checked it a little while ago. You're up to 953 members.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So, and we're flowing with followers today. Thank you all. I set up the giveaway, and we're going to start with at minimum, like I always say. Oh my gosh! At minimum, a $25 gift certificate to Carlos's site, CSL Entertainment. You can get whatever you want, PDFs, hard copies, My Adventure, whatever you want, right? I'm not saying you have to get whatever you want off the site. We'll start out with that, and this is courtesy of Troy Cannibal, who is one of our great supporters of the stream as well. So yep, Carlos, Troy always gives me a block of them to give away, usually on Legends and Lore. So we'll start off with that, and then see if we'll kick it up a notch after that. So and then thank you, David, and then finally the newest to the blogging world. So William Henry Dvorak. Will, thanks, man, for coming on.
Thank you. Actually, the 14th of this month will be 1 year.
Wow. Okay.
Of blogging.
Awesome.
So,
awesome. Let me see if
I guess everybody knows me primarily from streams from back when I used to stream.
I got Greyhawk Companion up.
Greyhawk, but
Both, yep.
Started up the Greyhawk Companion basically because anytime I would get ready to do streams or what have you, I would do a lot of background and then writing of the particular areas in which we're going to be going into and so forth. So that was just a way to share that sort of stuff with the community. So and just recently, I got to give some props out. They took, because when I was doing the stream based in the Bone March, I put all that different material up onto the blog that I did when I did the stream, and then I have to look so that I can get the last names right. So Matthew Fenn, who was going to have a campaign there, went on to the blog and started going through all the different stuff. And so he pulled it all off and he compiled it into a PDF along with Keegan Frederick, I'm going to say this wrong, Payette, and then Rich Longentellos helped edit it up and put it all together into
nice.
Bone March Companion. So this I had printed out because I was like, it was just too pretty not to have. But you can get that. That's we posted up. It's on the.
That's awesome.
On the blog up there. So, but it's the same thing. It's like I started putting up the different things that I did. Like I had the big long running series of stuff for everything I did for Rook Roost back when we were doing Return to the Bandit Kingdom stream back in the day. So, and it just went from there. And I got to say, I get a ton of ideas, a list. I have like a laundry list from watching Legends and Lore in the Gabbins, and then just
Awesome.
keep track. It's like,
You're
oh, that's a great
welcome.
idea.
Awesome, man.
Yep.
I love to hear that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have to
So
ask
good
this
to
one
hear.
question. Are you more at peace now, streaming less and blogging more?
No, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
I will say this much, because I mean, Wicked Studios didn't go anywhere because I'm doing, it's given me more time to write and to do, like, we released the Tombs of Zang the Horrific, which was, I'm going the Carlos route where I'm releasing Greyhawk material. So basically,
Sterilized. Yeah.
yeah. And so basically, we took my Tang the Horrific module, then we got professionally edited it, and then got an actual layout for it. That PDF's out, and then we're working on the print version. InDesign's a beast for layout. I'm glad I'm not doing it, but so we're doing that. I'm working on a Fost Wood adventure right now. That's being play tested currently. We're going to take all of the stuff I did for Rook Roost, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to give it a professional layout, add in art, and we're going to pull out in the IP, and then that's going to get released, and that'll be in hardback as well, hardback and just print in general eventually. So, but though, see, to do that, I've got more freedom.
Yep.
I can write whenever I want. I don't have to adhere to a schedule. And basically, when time got tight and I had to cut something, well, streaming was the first to go because it's so much work to do. So I will stream again. It's just I have no idea when.
How about
So.
Virtual GreyhawkCon?
Oh yeah, I don't know if I'll stream, but I'm definitely going to run.
You're going to DM. Okay.
I'm going to DM.
That's all I need to hear, man. That's
Yeah,
all I
yeah.
need to hear. Whoops. There's a Virtual GreyhawkCon, and oh, nice. Thank you for that gift sub, Hager.
Oh,
Justinius, you put up a great point. Carlos modules are well written. There's a link to the site, talking about Hools, and there's a link right to Carlos's site, which the gift certificate giveaway is tonight. So I want to start off with a controversial question. It's not really controversial, but let's start off with a fun question, because I know Jason's going to fight everyone on this one. So so I have to do it. What is your go-to reference for the free city of Greyhawk, and why? There you go. I want to hear that first. Who wants to start that? I want a little bit of a blogger argument here. Go-to reference, free city of Greyhawk. Which one would you use and why? Who wants to start that off?
I will. It's
Go
easy.
for it.
Go to the box set.
Okay. Okay.
If we're talking just Greyhawk City, I'm going to go to the box set.
Yeah, I
It's
detest
got
that.
everything.
Jason just said you detest it, right, Jason?
It depends, I guess, what you're writing about. Because, like, if you're writing
just
different things, when
curious.
I did the
You left.
stuff on the Bone March,
Jason's like, I quit.
yeah, it's like he's like,
you broke him.
yeah. When I did the stuff on
is.
the Bone March, I went to the Dragon magazines and I pulled out all of Gary's stuff. I went and got Gygax's stuff.
Yeah.
That's where I started.
I had to do it just because I wanted to. I know, Jason, you detest it, but what would you do? I know where yours is.
Well, my city of Greyhawk's been a number of things. I would say I ran a City of Greyhawk campaign based out of the Ord books, out of the Saga of Old City, and a little from City of Hawks. But basically, the current thing I'm working on is I find City of Greyhawk works very well with ideas stolen from Fritz Lieber's, Fairford and Grey Mouse, or
Lankmar,
the Lankmar stuff.
Okay.
And so, I at first wanted to have a City of Greyhawk that was like street maps and all these things. And then as time went by, I actually didn't want that anymore. I didn't want to know how many people were there. I didn't want to have anything done in great specificity, because I wanted it to be as big as I wanted it to be, as mysterious as so there's detail, but the detail, the people who the adventure in Greyhawk, it's like there's no city model or city map. You know your streets, but when you can just get lost in Greyhawk. It's when Gary wrote City of Hawks, he drew this monstrous map for Greyhawk. I mean, Greyhawk encompasses 56, I think it's 56 square miles in City of Hawks. So it's a unbelievably gigantic fantasy city. And so I'm working on a design for the city that has the, you have random tables, and the DM doesn't have to use the randomness, but you're going to have a choice of where they walk down the street, and there's these various shops, and whenever the players go in, you can pull out a design shop so that they can go in, and you don't have to worry about them walking off your map. It's just that's always been a problem in a city campaign, is if they're going to turn down some alley that you haven't designed, that you haven't detailed, do you have to detail this gigantic city?
Yeah.
And so instead, I detail specific things that can be used anywhere within the various locales, with a few tweaks and turns there if you are really using the various Greyhawk city quarters and areas. Like, they have the low quarter, the high quarter, the old city, the citadel, there's all these, the garden quarter, there's all these different areas within Greyhawk, but it's a massive place as designed by Gygax.
So
and I like it that way.
You kind of have yours based on the City State of the Invincible Overlord or City State of the World Emperor settings from Judges Guild, kind of, where you can place that stuff as you see fit.
Yeah, the way, although I thought that they did those more very when they did as I remember of City State, they actually have like one line per shop, like they are a one small paragraph for every locale within the city state from that, from the original City State of the Invincible Overlord. This is different. This is where I'm not trying to lock anything down. You're not going to have a map of the city. You're going to wander these streets. There's a there was just a question on Cannon Fire about the streets of the city of Greyhawk. And there is a in the novel, the collection of short stories called Night.
Oh, we lost your sound.
Yep. You
Jason, we lost your sound. We lost your sound.
It's buffering for a bit. It'll come back again. Yep.
Jason passed the 10-second limit.
Exactly. He did.
Try again, Jason. We lost your sound. Go ahead.
Oh, talking to I
now you're back again. Yep.
Okay, it's quicker than it used to be, but I'm still getting that internet connection problem. But anyway, just to
shameful.
Damn. He can't talk any substance that he's cutting off. Yeah.
Well, as Jason got cut off, Tommy and David, what do you want to say to this?
Well, I would say that first of all, I don't actually go to the Gem of the Flyness. I don't take my players there. I don't take my characters, there. Because I always feel like I'd be treading on something that I haven't researched well enough. So I try to stay more in the remote places. But I would use the Sergeant material. To be honest, I love that stuff.
From the Ashes. Okay.
I love that stuff, and so that's where I'd be at.
My Falling Apart. This is my working copies of those books. They're still falling apart. David.
Well, considering I didn't have the City of Greyhawk box set, my go-to those for any city was the Lankmar City of Adventure supplement from First Aid D&D.
That's very cool. Lankmar is a good city.
Gives you a flavor for like a dirty, gritty, fantasy city. And my campaigns were always dirty, gritty, political things. And also I went for like 3 years and my players never left my city.
It's awesome, man.
It's a
I
good
gotta say,
campaign, yeah.
Jason, I expect that done tomorrow. 'cause
I let Jason do it.
I really want that. It sounds just like something I need. And Jay, you got to do book reports. I hear you're going to be reading those the Gord books here soon.
Mhm. Yep.
I think that'd be a great
Cur-
idea for
only
Legends and
because-
Lore.
Exactly. We take one volume every week for 10 weeks to go.
Only
over the summer.
because Jason is
Those
being
board books should be
so
required
kind.
reading. I'm telling you, that's like
Mhm.
that's the
Well,
Bible.
Jason's
going to
being
read
so
them again.
kind to
Yep.
me and giving me a complete set, and that's the only reason. And I really,
Well,
Jason.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring this up. This is an exciting project that I'm starting with Gary Hollian. Is that on his Cannon Fire Grey Chat? I'm going to be doing a annotated reading of all the Gord books.
Ooh,
Oh, nice.
We're
Wonderful.
gonna
That's
we're
great.
gonna record it and then archive the recordings on Cannon Fire website. And then later on, if we want to, if people want to add, but hopefully people will like to join in, get recorded, and talk about the annotations, the notes as we go along.
Wonderful.
So I'll probably be doing
Yep.
that like an hour and a half each day.
Mhm.
Do a little reading and annotations, audio annotations of the stories. So start with Saga of the Old City and just go through it. And as we come up to things, and then we can always, because of editing, we can always retroactively, if somebody says, well, what about this? They can always add some audio where we discuss points that were missed in the original recordings. And so that is this big project that hopefully is going to be coming up pretty soon.
Awesome.
There'll be a sequel to that with the Rose Estes books.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you have to
Ugh.
read about Mika and stuff. So yeah.
So, because we had a hype train, a whole bunch of gift subs here, I'm going to add this. Courtesy of Patrick, Canadian Ancient Gamer. He just keeps on sending me stuff, so I got to give it out.
You're gonna have to freak people out and also give away it also so I can start putting the Rose Estes books up.
Oh my gosh! No, do not send me them, Patrick.
Send those, Patrick.
Patrick sent me a
I
bunch
would
of.
enter a drawing for the complete Rosette.
Trust me.
Just-
Patrick sent me a bunch of BattleTech stuff even because he wants me to do a BattleTech stream. We're trying to fit it in. So there you go. Oh my
Okay.
gosh!
I've got all the Estes books just for completeness of set.
I have the first
Oh,
one. That's
no.
the only one I got.
Phew, man.
Same reason.
So Mike, you want to tackle that one? Being a blogger yourself on Greyhawk.
City of Greyhawk box is always my choice. It's weird because I never even owned a Gord book until I was already one or two timeline changes into the City of Greyhawk box set. So
I've had to repurchase my Gord books because honestly, years ago I gave them all to my nephew.
You're gonna
And
regret
the copies that he has,
they're
the
looking
copies that he has are better shape than the ones that I got now.
Okay.
So off of that, I want to bring up this, which was just posted just recently, I believe, on Cannon Fire. And I don't want you guys trolling this person, but if you want to go to Gizmodo and say you're wrong, that's fine. But I don't want you being jerks. I stopped myself. And
yeah,
this Gizmodo comment here, found an interview of, that concerns Tommy there. I just pulled up the wrong part of it. Here we go. Dungeons and Dragons novels revisiting Garrity's Saga of Old Town by Bob Bricken, who highly recommends you do not ever touch one of these books or you will be burned alive by just reading them because they're so awful. That's basically what he says.
that's the worst review he's ever given.
Worst review, yeah. So
they're not the best of high literature when it comes to the literature, but if you're interested in Greyhawk, they are a gold mine.
You
So,
have to
yeah.
use them as source books. They
Notice-
work as source books, not as great fiction.
Exactly.
you're
yeah.
absolutely correct. And he even says in here, well, I don't know anything about Greyhawk. So
Exactly.
He's coming
Then-
from
then,
a
yeah,
place
don't-
of ignorance.
If
on
they
this.
don't know about Greyhawk, never listen to their reviews, so to speak. Yeah.
Well, you notice he even got the title wrong.
Yes, yes.
See,
I
yeah,
wondered if
that's
he
it.
was doing that though on purpose, but
Might
yeah,
be.
yeah.
That's
Well,
like getting
you
a
should
review of a
know.
car of
Nobody
someone
called
who
them out on
doesn't
it in
even have
the
a driver's
comments.
license. Yeah.
That's really,
Anybody who writes stuff on the internet, they're full of it.
you know,
Good point. Good point. But
Yeah, we all know that.
Yes.
I wanted to, though, shout out Tommy's blog because Rain Bucket posted here. Found an interview with Paul Kidd. One quote really rings pretty true about fantasy RPG world novelizations, and it's linked to GreyhawkStories.com. So there you go.
Hey.
So you do have a link in here in the comments off of that article. Congrats on that. That's a great
thanks.
thing.
Thanks very
Yeah,
much.
no problem. So I did locate that and wanted to state that that was in there. And we all agree everyone's entitled to their opinion, but I think he's coming from a place of ignorance in there. So like I said, if you want to go in and comment and say, hey, you're wrong, that's fine, but don't. Jay says you're a dick. Don't put that down, please. You know what I'm saying? Because
You know what? They're just guilty pleasures. That's all.
exactly.
You read it like we said for lore and
Yeah.
to get a feel for the flavor. Like on how to visualize in a way. From the creator's mind. That's what you're there for. And also, you're not buying. If anything, honestly, this might sound really bad. It also it's like, but the Rose Estes books that are written, they're just not good. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
the prose is better. It's just that they're not good. And she didn't really know what she was writing about. Like when a god can just trip down a chasm and die.
Well, there's no accounting for taste, and that's the thing. It's like I think a lot of people forget that when they're dealing with these sort of things and they talk about it. It's like, well, whatever you like. Just because somebody else doesn't like what you don't like, that's not like.
But you know what? When I was reading, the first book, and not so much the second. I didn't really care for Artifacts of Evil so much, but I really did enjoy, the Sea of Death and the City of Hawks. And also, it's like I was reading them when I was back in college and university, and I thought they were thrilling. They were just fun to read at that time.
You're absolutely right. But the thing that you have to understand when you're reading them, I heard Luke Gygax on one of these shows with Carlos at one time. And Carlos asked him, like, how much of that do you recognize when you read those Gord books? How much of that do you recognize from actual campaigns? And he said, all of it.
That's cool.
That they played those games. It's not great fiction because it's real Dungeons and Dragons.
Yep.
Well, it's not great fiction because Gary was terrible about the narrative, and his characterizations were really two-dimensional. And his ideas, his descriptions, his atmosphere for the setting are fantastic, but just as stories, it just they were clunky, and it's if you. I mean, there's some you can like clunky. It's just, unfortunately, most people don't, and it seems like his writing is very clunky for the Gord books, from my opinion.
And that is something that each person can make a decision for themselves how they want to use it. I know for me, I want to respect the history and respect the game and respect what everyone's doing. And that's why I've been working more to implement stories that go on my campaign into what everyone's doing, like the long road that, and we can talk about that. But I have actually, Strandkeep Castle is being built as we speak. And I want to show a picture of it real quick. It's mega. It's all 3D print from Gamescape 3D.
Oh,
So that's why I really need to read these books, because it's in the Pomage. I'm going to incorporate this in some adventures upcoming, and cool, man. Thank you, Patrick. So Strandkeep Castle is coming in an adventure to you in the near. Let me put one more. This thing's freaking huge. Yeah, it's about 2.5 feet by 2.5 feet. So. It took oh my God, Mike Saxton, Retro Gamer Meth, almost a month to print this on 4 printers running constantly.
I was talking to him. He said 28 days.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, we needed that. Yeah, it is. Actually, it's PLA. This is a PLA deal. So those, but yeah, resin would have been crazy cost, but yeah, PLA is for that. But so note that I have a vested interest in the Gore books, and I want to read them. And it's a good idea that Coma came up with. We'll have Jason back, and we'll do a specialty show on that on a Gavin or Legends of Lore in the near future on the Gore books after I get through like a couple. So. All right, I have another question, and we'll bounce around. You guys want to question each other, or Anna and Mike? What tickles your fancy right now? You may not be writing about it, or you may write about it in the future. But what are you like? Are you all is like in your wheelhouse right now? What are you excited about? What's going on? Does that make sense? You may not be writing about it. You may want to write about it. You may just like what someone else is doing. But like, what is really got you excited about Greyhawk or a topic at this point? Who wants to start that off?
Well, I've been. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead,
No,
Jason.
go ahead,
Nope.
go ahead, Jason.
Jason.
I was just being an ass.
Yeah, Jason, please.
You were going to say something really dirty, I know, because the way
Well,
I said that. So.
I've got a lot of projects that I was working on last year that had to get put on hold. So there's things I want to revisit. I was doing a gazetteer for Blackmore and the Land of Black Ice.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And but the other thing I've really gotten interested in is doing various mercenary and adventuring companies for Greyhawk, and all over the Flyness.
I like that.
And variations. There's another project that I want to work on that I'm calling All Monsters Great and Small, where I want to put down work out where all the various creatures that we like from the various monster manuals, where you're going to find them, like the old resource chart, where we saw where they grew wool or mine for gems. I'd like to see like where the biggest populations of the various monsters are, where you're likely to encounter them, and
Great idea.
do that for the Flyness.
That's great, man.
But first, you got to do the random city charts for me.
Yeah.
So I just want to make that clear that you're going there first, right?
Awesome.
See, that's the last year project that I had to set aside. Yeah.
Jason's got a lot of work. It never ends. That's a great thing. There's always a project. So the rest of you gentlemen, what do you think on that question?
Well, I can go with since I'm playtesting my upcoming adventure in the Fostwood. While I'm doing that, I went and I jumped over and I'm continuing writing on Tenets of Faith, which is basically when it comes to religion in fantasy worlds, it's pretty much priests and clerics. That's all you get, right? So basically, I'm writing up mechanics for everyone.
Okay.
So faith and everybody being able to have, like, if you're going to worship a certain type of god, they'll take a notice of you. Granted, it's nowhere near to the level of anything that priests or clerics or anything along these lines do, and it's something that everybody can do. And then work folded into that is also it's a faith score mechanic that you can use for priests or clerics to dictate just how in they are with their prospective deities, and how much so that's currently what I'm working on. But I have a long laundry list of things that I need to write or am writing.
Mike, Tommy, David.
So I've got a bit of a bucket list also as I've been wandering through these things. It's like I've been doing what I'm trying to tackle right now is finish off that the Greyhawk Online story, like for the OJ. I promised him it was going to be like 3 parts, but I think it's going to be more like 4 parts by the time I'm done.
Great.
So I'm pulling that out of bullet points, and also it's like, but life got in the way and I'm stalled, and also it's like, and I got to get back on that. And now that I've finished up the Southeast history, and also now I've started doing a lot more research on the South, basically Medio and Hetmonaland and also how it connects those with the Tilvanot and so on. And then I've been doing those primers, where I've been taking the postcards and also expanding them out even more so, and also that people can get a little bit more than just that half page, the way I would feel for them anyways. And then I've started doing those monster explorations. I've already done 2 of them. I've done the kobolds and then the goblins, and I'm working my way up through hit die. So the next one's going to be like orcs and then hobgoblins and blah blah blah. It's like on my way up. So then I was translating those French things, like from Ekbir, but things get in the way and that got shoved aside a bit. So I want to get back at that sooner or later. And then there's that Northeast kind of gazetteering that I've just been jotting tons of notes down and also been never really getting them back together again, because I've also been having ideas about how to, put together a couple of adventure paths up in that little corner that I like, and also between Radek and Fruitsy and Stonefist and up with Tostenka and all that.
Super cool. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Busy.
See, I mean, David's blog is just an incredible resource for, the histories, and they're shockingly good. And,
I thought so too. Shocking.
but they're just fantastic. Yep.
And,
like entry level, right? It's like, that's the way I've been trying to look at it. So like absolutely edition free. It's just the lore. It's just the history. And it's like, because everything's all scattered all over the place, and it's like you just can't look at a single country at a time. You have to look at a patchwork of area because they all work together, So
It's such a mess.
That's why there's a certain amount of overlap in each of them.
Yeah.
So, like, if I want to point players who don't know Greyhawk, David's blog is a wonderful resource for them, because in my campaign where practically none of what he's written is true, it really helps me to confuse the players by giving them access to this history, this very well done detailed history that is not right. So when they get to the campaign, they think they know things and they get a great background, but then I get to twist things around on them. But even if you're doing a more straight-laced campaign, because this is about 40 years of Greyhawk campaigning for me, so I'm on like my 4th big campaign, and I'm really throwing the kitchen sink at things now. That going over to the Greyhawk musings gives you such a good primer for because he's pulled together all these various bits of information from all these resources and put them in one coherent history of section area by area. It's just, it is really, we've been doing this 40 years and there's really nothing quite like that out there. There's timelines.
It is interpreted too. There is like a worldview looking at it. Somebody else could do the same thing and have an entirely different glossy view, because I don't really prescribe to the knights in shining armor. It's like, I think that they're like the Templars and so on and so forth, but I don't really, see these people, like as if they're, straight out of Excalibur.
I want to jump ahead. I'm sorry, Jay.
No, that's okay.
Basically, this is
great discussion.
This is what I want from Tommy and David. Okay.
Yeah.
So I want you guys to take your stuff and compile it onto one document for me, so that then I can go and take said document and then I can print them out, and then I can hold them and read them and go through. That's, just like I'm exactly what Jason said. I look at the histories that David did, and that's like, oh my gosh, that's perfect. Basically, I want you to do the work for me, so I don't have to go through and pull this stuff out.
It's time consuming.
Yeah,
it is. I know.
Everything is time.
But David has the potential. 10 more campaigns will come from your diggings in history. Meaning it's absolutely awesome. Yeah.
There was a guy who on my Facebook page that the Greyhawk Greyhawk Adventures group was coming. He's asking us like, where do I start with some good Greyhawk starting points in fiction? And it's like, well, you send them over to Tommy's website, but
Yep.
then also too, it's like, because there is so little when it comes to fiction,
Yep.
and I think, Tommy, you even said that's one of the reasons why you started doing it, because there was so little out there.
Yeah.
But it's like to get that so
But
It is
Tommy
well
can tell you
grounded in-
the same thing as that I will. When you're writing fiction for a setting, it's hard because you're trying to be, like true to, the game and the way it actually runs. But you have to try to strip the mechanics of the game out of it, because it just it bogs it down and makes it boring. It's like you have to do story structure, not game structure. It's different sort of ratings. It's like rating a module. And Will can tell you, even Jake can tell you, and Carlos. And also, it's like you don't write a module in the same way that you write a story.
No, not even close.
That's the trick is because I wrote a short story based in Greyhawk, and basically it's the same thing. It's like, how can you add in flavor that is game mechanics without using game mechanics? You know what I'm saying? So that's that's
you're
hard.
Absolutely correct.
You don't want to say, and he cast a fireball.
Yeah, no.
That's just bad.
Then it's the Dungeons and Dragons movie, the one from the 90s.
Exactly. Yep.
No, you need 300 dragons flying around in that one. Right?
There you go.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm not going back to D&D movies of the 80s and 90s again. I can't go through that again and talk about She and all those again now.
Or totally unpopular opinion, and also the fact that Dungeons and Dragons cartoon that they're making into a movie was horrible. Because if you watch it, because I've been posting the episodes, no one, not even orcs, get hurt. Everybody falls in water. And
awesome.
It's the freaking A-team playing D&D. They shoot 100,000 rounds and no one gets shot, right? It's just there's no
I tell
violence.
you what, David, I go on because I have all of the episodes, right? I got that box set, and every so often on Saturdays, what I would do is I would stick those in and I just let it play as I was doing stuff. Well, I'm writing on Saturday mornings and I go through and I check stuff, and when I go on to like put on background music, I usually go to YouTube and basically and I check my Facebook, and there's that cartoon that you posted. So I got to go on. I got to watch the episode of the cartoon before I get started on any of my stuff.
The best part about it all is that Don Most is the cowardly guy. Donnie Most from Happy Days.
Happy Days, redhead. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Well, and Hank is the guy from 8 is Enough.
Both of them. It's Willie Ames and Adam Rich. There's 2 8 is enough guys. Like one wasn't enough. I gave you 2. So Charles in charge too. Oh my God! Now I'm really dating myself. So, Tommy, you didn't answer this question, man. You got anything you want to talk about?
What was the question?
What is really exciting you about like what you're doing with Greyhawk now, or that you'd like to see happen? Discussion point, topic point,
I got a couple games going right now, which is fantastic. Just to have a couple different games going. So I have one going in Jeff, and we're running through the Living Greyhawk material, which is just a lot of fun. So shout out to those guys. I know you've had them on the show.
Jeff.
Yeah.
Oh, Eric Mengi and yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yep. Good stuff.
Yep. And Jose Ortiz and all that.
I've been enjoying that, and I've got another campaign going up in the Great Northern Crusade on the edge of Floriandi. That's been a lot of fun.
So right post Sergeant era, you're talking about from the ashes.
Exactly. That's
beautiful.
But if I, what I'd like to do, I want to get with Anna and work on Shieldlands because I'm really interested in building that out a little bit.
We need to talk about that. Yep.
Yeah, I'd love to build out some of the lore of Shieldlands. I mean, it is that Excalibur world that, but a lot. It's a dark Excalibur world, and I'm really enjoying poking around with that kind of stuff. But also, I have a lot of material set in the Dim Forest, so. And I've been trying to look around for, is there, who is the keeper of the lore of the Dim Forest? And because I'm seriously asking you guys now, because there is not much out there on the Dim Forest. It just sort of was like, the Dim Forest is just sort of like the Greyhawk throwaway version of Mirkwood.
The Living Greyhawk, they touched it a little bit, but I don't think they went into it
So I
that
don't know
deep,
about
so to
that.
speak.
I think they went in that pretty deep. And so
Yeah.
Anna, Mike, my mother's calling me.
Mhm.
I don't know what it's
And we
about.
have
So
to.
you guys keep the discussion going.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. What interests me is that we have so many different specialities, and I kind of like that everyone has both their mythology is different and also what they're targeting, so to speak. Some are very broad and go on the big picture, like David, and then some. Tommy, you're much more. You get into the stories and you kind of list more fictional that way.
I
And
zoom in. I zoom
yeah.
in.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
mhm.
it's so
Rest
cool.
is
And
giant
yeah,
back,
and
you
mhm.
know?
And Mike, your specialty was to dig out all the hidden secrets of various things through the years, so to speak. That was just amazing.
Nothing too
And
small
Jason,
for me.
you're that kind of the museum curator of a certain period of Greyhawk, and you kind of went through it systematically, did your research, and presented the index, and it's just amazing. Will, you didn't use one, so I haven't. Meaning, I've just seen these kind of PDF that comes out with some art and stuff that are just
think-
like modules.
think
and stuff.
really
you
used
could
to
say most of the stuff that I do dip into the older editions, but I'm trying to bridge the
Yeah.
gap with
Yeah.
Greyhawk to 5th edition.
Yeah.
But
Just
the
about
whole
everything.
Patreon things, I'm sorry, the patron bits. It also, it's like, I love those. It also, it's like with the lesser gods. It also, it's like in for the weaving with the for warlocks and so on.
Yeah, it started with really started with the warlocks, where I went through and I compiled all the essentially hero deities and then demigods and what have you, and assigned warlocks for them. And then now I've gone into paladins, because that's
Cool.
one thing
Yeah.
too, where
Mhm.
that used to upset me, even like from like 1st edition forward, even with like the clerics. But at least with clerics, they got the specialty clerics. Okay, you got
Yeah.
that sort of thing going on.
So you
But the
dare
paladin didn't really get that kind of
Yeah.
treatment.
Yeah. Do you dare to delve into mechanics? Because I know a
Oh,
lot
yes.
of us try to stay away from anything mechanics and rules wise, but you dig into it. Yeah.
Yeah, this is all mechanics. So
Mhm.
basically,
Yeah.
like the warlocks, the warlock patronage, that's all 5th edition mechanics for being able to play
Yeah.
warlocks within in Greyhawk edition. And
Yeah.
then for it to work for me, is like essentially a warlock is somebody who just gets powers from it doesn't have to be a divine being, but they're
But
definitely not God.
some entity is giving.
They're
it.
not
Yeah.
God caliber, so that's why I went with the hero.
But it could be a
deities
demon
and
or a
what have you.
devil or
Correct.
some other creature as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So like the hero deities and those sort of guys, those guys were perfect for warlock
Yeah.
patrons.
Mhm.
And then with doing the paladins, now the paladins should be definitely directly related to a god.
Mhm.
Lesser or greater god,
Yeah.
and so their powers should be more reflective of the deity that they serve. And then so that's what I did with the warlocks, and their powers were reflective of the who they served. And then same thing with the paladins. Now they're going to be more reflective of the
it's like in my campaign I have the term that I use for myself when I plan the game, divine agent, meaning who are divine agents, and paladins and clerics and witches and warlocks and stuff are all divine agents, because they work and get power from some bigger being, whether that is a full-blown god or demon or devil or some other powerful being, or even nature itself, an entity. They're still a divine agent that way. They get divine spell power and other abilities through it. So
the one thing I've kept myself from doing, mostly, I try really hard not to, is basically do anything that is going to reinterpret core rules that already exist for 5th edition.
You want to kind of
so
add
I'm working
to the
within
rules.
that framework that already exists. So anybody who picks it up will instantly understand what I'm trying to say, like the verbiage that they even use. I try to use the same type of verbiage, and
it's the popularity of 5e, and I'm asking like broadly, is 5e now becoming so popular and that you can kind of use that as a the new standard reference for it? Seems to become that way.
Well, I wouldn't say necessarily. I mean, is 5e the most popular edition currently? Yeah. Is it the most popular among Greyhawk players?
That was my follow-up question. Yeah, you asked it.
I wouldn't say that it is, but I will say this much: it is gaining more, because what you're starting to see is the trend with 5th edition is there's been players that have been in it long enough now that they say, okay, we know how to play Dungeons and Dragons now. We want more meat
but
on
also,
the bone, and so they're looking for stuff. They're looking, then they're turning around, they're looking at the older editions, and they're looking and going, well, Greyhawk, why isn't Greyhawk done? I can find all this other junk on DM's Guild and whatnot. Where's the Greyhawk stuff?
Yeah.
And so you see all these new people start coming along, going, "Hey, I want this Greyhawk." And and so
that's my master plan. Like Saturday night, I brought in a bunch of 5e players into my game, right? Greyhawk, first introduction to Greyhawk, old school, and the one guy, runaway robot. It's like, why can't I move and attack in the same round? And this is, you know what I mean? So it's still, there's still
no, it's beyond that. It's like, because you have an movement, an action, and also there's like 5 things you can do in 6 seconds. You can get up, move 15 feet, and still cast a spell.
But is it 5e overall at least enough of a unifier, because it's enough so people who are now learning the game through 5e and see it through that eye, at least they can go back in the editions and it will be kind of similar enough that they can digest it, even if it's something written for 3.5 or old school. They can translate it into 5e. It's not
that's why fourth edition didn't work, because fourth edition was a complete departure from the original established rules, and they went back to that with 5th edition, and then they streamlined the rules. And that's if I can say if 5th edition has one flaw, it's too streamlined. That's its one flaw.
Yeah, they're
because they made it too easy. Yeah, they made it
they started that, but now they're adding more and more and more and more, and it's turning into 3.5.
Then I'm asking follow up to tie back into blogging. Can 5e be kind of I would say uniform kind of so you can exchange and build on each other's material to kind of dig into crunch with, because blogging is very much like you add your little thing and then someone else can add it and you can kind of refine it, you can tweak it and stuff. The
thing that I find the most funny is when people start edition warring about different things, and I'm like, seriously? I pull stuff from every edition. Like I'll crack a book and it's like, I know how to instantly convert things. Like I'm going to be running Night's Dark Terror really soon. Okay. That's great. That's expert D&D. Okay. And so it's like, adventure. I can look at the stat blocks in there of the bad guys, and then basically go, okay, well, I know how to translate that to 5th. It's like it's a little more work to the DM, but I mean,
but blogging doesn't have to necessarily be sterile. You can use mechanics and have a blog about that too. Definitely, I guess.
Yeah. If you want clickbait,
the 4th edition is as rich in lore as 3.5 was. Like if you start getting into those books, it's like you start reading. And you just gotta just like Will said, you just take that and you start altering it slightly.
And 4th edition had some interesting planner thing like Feywild and stuff like that. That was kind of cool. That was introduced in 4th edition that I kind of like and played on a bit. So
that's part of the streamlining again. Streamlining things to make the package more presentable.
But when I get older now, I didn't like it, but I'm starting to realize that I need it. This streamlining. So and my players seem to need
streamlining
it too,
is great, because then you can add.
Yeah.
When it's super streamlined, that's what original OD&D was. That was one of the big things with it, is because it was so simple as far as it didn't have all these extra mechanics around it. It allowed you then to go ahead and, you make your own homebrew rules for it. That's the other thing. Is like, who doesn't make homebrew rules?
A lot.
I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody who doesn't do homebrew.
A lot of 5e DMs don't, because they don't know any better. I'm being blunt here, all right? Now, the guys who
It might be
all of
because
us that have
they're
been
new
around
to
for
the
years
game.
understand that homebrew is the way to go.
You have to
Well,
play a
if-
couple of years.
That's
yeah.
exactly. If you're talking about a DM that's new into it and they're like got 5 years under their belt,
Well,
they're just getting to the point where it's like they're going to feel comfortable with the homebrew.
Yeah,
Like
we-
honestly,
But-
did anybody ever really play AD&D as like because there were so
No way,
many?
man.
No.
Chance, no way.
Against
You know,
armor
I
and all
never-
and speed factor. I mean, you know,
Yeah. Come on.
Tim and his
Yeah.
speed factor wanted me to, you know, in ninth grade wanted me to drown him. You know what I'm saying? You know, just oh my gosh. But
Yeah, we tried Speed Factor, and my players
yeah.
wanted to kill me when I did that. So yeah. But daggers was damn powerful after that. So
yeah.
How
Everybody
Like,
ran around with daggers.
Yeah.
You kidding me?
two
You know, people go back
daggers,
to
and you were
OD&D also,
king
it's like
of
you're
the
just gonna fight
battlefield.
with daggers.
Yep.
You know, because OD&D, a sword was 1 to 6 damage, an axe was 1 to 6 damage, a dagger
Yeah.
was 1 to 6 damage, but with the speed factor,
okay,
it also
Yeah.
had 2 attacks with the
It's-
dagger.
Yes, like the two-handed sword came in like every fifth round. He killed someone. Before that, he was not even on the radar, so to speak.
Colors doesn't have pages in here. I don't know. It's got to be 70 to 80 pages. Someone's
Yeah.
asking. Yeah, something like almost 80 pages
Yeah.
there.
But sorry, now I would please go on again. I got us into a
No, it's good. It's good.
dive into
my
additions
mother,
here.
my
Yep.
mother's the
Yep.
bearer of always when she calls it's the bearer of bad news.
Yep.
So, but you know,
Uh-oh.
yeah,
I hope everything's all right.
it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything's fine with her. It's just
Good.
you know.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we had a couple questions in the audience, and one is kind of trying to stay away from the negatives, but there were two questions. One is how much your use of gods do you like in your Greyhawk, and the second one was what's a place you hate the most in Greyhawk? Like you'd never venture there. I thought it was funny. So anyone want to tackle those two?
Well, okay. For me, it's God should be seen and not heard, and preferably not seen. I'm not big on the actual deities. I don't mind the religions, but I don't like the appearance of the deities and stuff. You're never going to wrestle Odin for his sword, you know. So, you know, like I'm not big on that aspect of the way that sometimes the game is run with a lot of deity intervention. And then the place I can't stand, I do not like the Us the Evil setting.
Really?
I don't. Yeah, I just find that,
Wow.
especially the crap from Sargent. I hate that. So
Tommy's laughing too.
I
Oh,
found that
that's so awesome.
you know, Us would have.
Uh-oh.
We lost you.
What you get. That's what you get.
We lost you. We
The
got
old one went
Ayus
after
would
you
have.
immediately.
The
Yeah.
That's what we
old
got
one
you,
is
Jason.
retribution.
Ayus would have, and
Yeah.
then you cut out. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I
That's
keep
okay.
cutting on you guys there, but no, I really disliked. I really dislike the Us, even from the Gygaxian point of view. I really didn't like that.
Mhm.
Second edition stuff, I didn't really like the Scarlet Brotherhood as depicted, but I'm much more.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I like the resource book is great for detailing those areas, but I don't need them. Like I said with Mike, I know Mike agrees on this. I don't want them in my Sea Prince's hold. I don't want them there. Get off my side of the map. Go play on the eastern side of the map. So, but that's
I
just
hated the way they turned the Great Kingdom and the Sea of Medigia into, you know,
A wasteland.
a demonic and devil playground. They just drowned them in it, and it's like, and how do you come back from that? And they had to do, you know, the whole, you know, that the rod in 7 parts. And also it's like to fix their mess up.
Good one.
Yeah.
How about deity use, David?
Never used them.
Okay.
No one played it. No one played a cleric. One person played a paladin once, where we discovered that lawful good does not mean lawful nice.
Exactly.
You know. And,
No, I agree 100%. No, it's
if
true.
anything else, it's like that guy was more sociopathic, and also it's like than my assassin.
But
But
Yeah, Tim
But
says
we
a
never
good
used
point.
them. And also, it's like, and even when they were there, it also, it's like, it was like they were, I discouraged them because it's like, if no one was going to play them, they couldn't go running back to the temple, to get
Mhm.
healed all the time. So I made, all of the costs, quadrupled and so on, and also like to make it just difficult for them.
Tim said a good one-liner. Too much lower planar nonsense. I agree. And then they go, well, we've gone too far. Let's make a crook of Vala and snap our fingers and banish them all.
That's
I like-
because they're
I
getting
like
too powerful and stuff. It shouldn't get that big.
It is a I know it's a living, breathing world, and that's great. And you don't have to use everything, or you can just tweak it. And there's always those, well, it happened, but I don't care in my game because it doesn't affect what's going on in my world, which is perfectly fine. And that's the
But
great thing
even
about it.
Ayus, it's like you can never defeat him. He's a god. You can't defeat him. I'm sorry. It also, it's like, so having him in your setting is, like you really can't adventure there. You could adventure on the periphery, but you can't go into the empire, the empire of Ayus.
See, now, David, I would have to, if I went to my Dungeon Meister friend who has he's from France, and he has a Living Greyhawk campaign, they killed Ayus in their game.
Yeah.
That's what Gary commented, and also it's like, of course you can kill him.
In my campaign, it will be very, very, very hard to kill him directly, so to speak, and challenge him personally. That will be almost impossible. But what you can do is that you can challenge his agents, meaning his priests and stuff. You can either kill them outright, and you can scare the living bejesus out of them so much that they will fear someone else more than they fear Ayus, and that way you can take away his underlings, so to speak, and get after them, and that's some of the tactics that some of his enemies are now in my campaign getting to. They are systematically finding the middlemen, so to speak, the ones in between, and target them and scare the living bejesus out of them, and gather their forces and are smart about it. They're starting to work together, and they're targeting the middlemen effectively. And so if you are an Ayusian priest from level like 4 or 5 up to like 15, then you're in trouble, because they will have a bounty on you, and they will come for you, and they will chop you to pieces and disintegrate you and burn you and put you on a stake somewhere to prove that you should not sleep lightly, so to speak, or sleep heavily, because they will come for you. And so it's a campaign of terror the other way around, so to speak. If you're Ayusian, you have a price on your head.
It was written in the Demigods book a long time ago. It also, it's like that the stats that they gave you, it also were the avatars on like that you would meet on the material plane.
Mhm.
And it was all like, and I think it was in the original DM's guide, more or less suggesting that you could never defeat a god on his home plane. And so where's Ayu's home plane?
Well, he doesn't control his own own plane completely. That's why he's vulnerable. That's why in my campaign, because he only controls parts of it.
And
how that means that he's vulnerable.
In what was it? In Vecna Lives. I think there was that one. And also, it's like where he comes back. The heroes can't even defeat him. They have to get Ayus to fight Vecna because they would be wiped out.
Yeah, and also in my campaign, Ayus also did the biggest mistake ever. He made an own goal. He went after one of his power bases, and that was a huge mistake. He attacked the 10 and the Flan. So he struck a deep strike into his own home base territory. And that means that he's now losing followers and influence in one of his corner areas where he was, and also some of the ones they gave him the mission, meaning his dad, Grast, is now realized that he's becoming a problem rather than an asset. So he's now gaining hatred and enemies among his own, meaning more powerful ones. So they're now contemplating, should we get rid of him, or should we support him, or should we just try to mend and tweak things? So there is like a huge political upheaval. A lot of the Flan community, meaning Nerul and a whole bunch of others? Are they coming after Ayuz to get rid of him because he's their enemy, or are they going to just try and tweak him and get him back in the fold again? Or are they going to succumb and say, okay, he can run things and he will become the leader? So it's like a leadership contest in the Flan world, so to speak, and that is one of the backdrops in my campaigns. Well, very, very interesting to see, and the characters will play foot soldiers in that struggle, so to speak, both from the outside and from the inside, depending on which side they're taking. That's the kind of premise for my campaign.
See,
I used to me
Go ahead.
in the books and whatnot is they make him way too lawful.
Mm-hmm.
I play up that I use because I don't like, if I had to region that I dislike the most would be the lands I use, but it's just in how it's presented. The way I do it is essentially he enjoys chaos.
Mm-hmm.
So this whole expansion thing and whatnot, he's not doing it because he has any intentions of really holding the land. He just did it to see the chaos that it would create. And so then he'll pull back and watch all the craziness that goes on and whatnot. And then he'll send this guy over here, you know, and then it's like, I'm going to put this Boneheart guy over there and then this other lesser bone out here. And I'm going to let him subvert him. And, you know, that's how I think that
I totally agree. And that
it should be interpreted.
Yeah, and that's why he's coming to bite him now. That chaos is.
I run you know, my own version of that areas like Stalinist Russia, and I don't know if you've ever seen the Death of Stalin movie, but
I heard it was good.
Oh, it is. It's fantastic in a very dark way, but it's funny in a very dark way. But there you have the Ayuz, and now he is gone. And there is now this, you know, because he's imprisoned. So the land of I never return him. He's like
you kept him in. That's an interesting twist. Yeah.
So in my campaign, it's like that post-Stalinist Russia where they're eating at each other, trying to vie for power. That's this power vacuum that is there, and you know, it's a very dark, grim place. Now, even so, I find that the Horn Society, which they got rid of, was 1,000 times more interesting to me than the land of Ayuz.
So I think there's a general agreement on that across the board.
Yeah,
You know?
I like them. I like them both, and I want to have a campaign that uses both of them still. Yeah. And I hated that Carl Sargent killed off this Horn Society, but then I found a way to get it back, and I took it as a challenge to kind of go with Sargent and then improve on it.
Yeah.
Tommy,
I use lots of gods in my stuff, but I don't use them directly.
Yep.
There's always the flavor there, like a small shrine to Rudd in the temple, and if you flip a coin onto it, roll me a d20, see if you get a nat 20, and then you'll get a +1 for the day. You know, or if there's a blizzard outside and, you know, you take the time to make a small sacrifice to Telcher, then, you know, you're going to get a little assistance so that you're not going to freeze to death.
Yeah.
You know, little things like that. I try to incorporate that sort
That's
of
cool.
stuff.
Yeah.
That's
And
good
I don't,
stuff.
yeah, I don't ever bring in, like, the gods never come down.
No, and
But their
the gods,
influences everywhere in just little bits.
yeah, and also gods are so powerful. They sway opinions of a whole populations. That's how they gain their powers. Meaning they stir up 1,000 cleric followers that will come and simply go on a genocide spree or whatever if they get really mad. So you don't fight the god himself. You fight his legions of followers that are devoted or just desperate or whatever it is. Yeah.
Tommy, any input on this topic?
I use the Greyhawk deities. I think they're fantastic. You know, I learned most of my Greyhawk deities through reading Mike's comics.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
so
like a soap opera.
yeah. I use them in the background. They're like, I want my characters, I want the players to have a sense of destiny, you know? So if I've got a cleric or something like that, I'm definitely going to like wrap that in. That's going to be, if one of my players is a cleric of a particular deity, that's got to be part of the campaign, right? And so then in the writing on the blog too, that's the deities are there. in the background. They're working it in the background.
Mhm.
Kind of like, I really enjoyed the Iliad. The way that you had like the battlefield playing out, and then there was like, you would flip it over and you'd see what's going on Olympus, and all of this sort of like back and forth on Olympus is having some sort of manifest effect on the battlefield. And so that's kind of the way I would approach it. I would hesitate to have an avatar come rolling in, and just upset the world. That only happens like a couple times in history where a god smashes into the world, and then you get a whole new religion out of it. That's a story of Mount Sinai and the Jewish people right there, but we don't do that too often in the actual game. Because it upsets the mechanics. What are you going to do with a god? How do you play with a god? I mean, the real god of a game is the dungeon master, right? So that's the deity that your players really have to be working with.
I'm going to give you an example. So Gary writes that great article about Saint Benedor being elevated, right? I haven't. Saint Benedor himself has not appeared in any of my games since then, but I have specialty priests of Saint Benedor with his will and what they can do out there, and that's the way I use deities. So, there's a lot of great content. I kind of like the way there are a lot of demigods and a lot of lesser gods and ones that do roam the Flanis, but they're not like the super gods of the Forgotten Realms. I kind of think that that's cool, but you don't run into them,
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah, it's a
I
very
treat them like basically like myth, in stories. You can hear stories about them. Oh yeah, I heard Kellenan was down, three towns over, and he did this and this, and it's like, and then you go there, and it's like, yeah, some dude came in, and he like cut everybody up with 2 swords, but I don't know. I'm pretty sure it could have been Kellenan, and you just leave it at that. You just like you don't actually have it be so in their face that it could be. Just have that little seed of doubt.
Yeah, it's great. I'm gonna
I like the idea of faith in the game, but not the idea of the deities.
Yeah.
So that the people in the game, the clerics, they have a faith in their deity, but they never even see them, never hear from them, and they're using this magical ability that's coming from a source that is similar to the magical ability of magic users. They have a different source, but it's not, in my campaign, it is their belief, so that you can have a powerful cleric of a deity who has almost no worshippers or is so old that they're forgotten. It's just
Oh.
Yeah,
Dun,
he
dun,
went
dun.
overtime. Yep.
20, Jason, 20 seconds. I think you're good now to 10, but 20. It's 20 seconds for you. Hey, it's better than it was the last year, right?
Yeah.
I know. It's just been going in and out for me all night.
It's okay. It's okay. 20 seconds on that would be good. I'm sorry that you got cut off there real quick, but this is what I want. I would like one of you to step up and ask everyone else a question. One of you, come on. One of the bloggers ask all the other bloggers something that's on their mind. Come on, we got to have something.
So,
okay,
if DM's Guild opens up to Greyhawk, what would you want to contribute? Would you contribute some of your own stuff?
That's a great question.
Yep.
I'm a hobbyist. I don't believe in selling this stuff. I just think that I'm not a big fan of the idea of coming up with modules and selling them, or settings and selling them. I just like the idea that the fans are creating material for everybody to use. And I'm a very open source kind of person.
The one thing that I like about selling it is that it allows me to buy other role-playing stuff.
Yeah.
So like when I sell stuff through drive-through, it goes into my account, and then I move it from my account into the wall, into the checkout when I buy my other stuff. And I'm like, yay!
Circle of life.
Because you're not going to get rich doing this. No way.
I'm going to answer this question because I've already done this. Why would I ever go to drive-through? And Carlos isn't on anymore. When I have Carlos Licensing Company that works with, right? So I'm not going to use drive-through ever. Why am I going to give access to WotC to my stuff, right? Because they own it. When you do that, they're going to own whatever you put in. And
that's DM's Guild. But you're half right. If you
Yeah.
if you put stuff on DM's Guild and you use their IP, they own it. If you go through drive-through, that's why my stuff's on drive-through.
Right.
Yeah,
I
DM's Guild.
retain the rights. I
Yeah.
retain the rights.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But DM's
Drive-through
Guild,
is-
yes, they own.
Yeah.
They're going to own the rights to
Very,
it. and I
very
don't-
good
Yeah.
distinction. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you can still have stuff on DM's Guild if you don't use their IP. You still retain the rights.
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah, but
But you can't.
You can't put a Greyhawk. If
Well, why
anything-
put it on? Yeah, but why put it on DM's Guild if you're not going to use the IP stuff? I mean, why would you even
Right,
bother?
right. I'd rather just go.
Yeah.
Carlos writes a great module. Right.
I thought
know.
you wrote some of that. Jay.
No. All right, let me rephrase that. Carlos produces a wonderful product. We all know that, right?
Yeah.
Wonderful. So that's what I would do. Anyone else want to answer that?
I would not put anything on DM's Guild at this point
Hey, Rich.
because I don't believe I could live up to the quality of what's on there now.
It's pretty high.
I'm sure you can, but yeah.
Yeah.
You just have to, and you can do art too. You just might have to, purchase a few things from outsource and to like layout and stuff maybe. Yeah,
See, it's already too much work.
yeah.
Yep. So Tommy and David,
I have got nothing to contribute there.
so you're not going to publish. So you wouldn't publish something for profit in the future?
No, I just,
Okay.
this is not what I do for profit. You know, I have a real job too. That's what I do for profit. So,
Do this for your enjoyment.
yeah.
Great. Perfect answer. David?
Yeah, right now it's for fun. You know, who knows? You know, you always leave the thought open, you know. But
Yeah.
it's like Will said, it's like, why not? You know, if you found a corner of the map, but also it's like that you could put out something that's more generic and create even your own villains and so on and so forth. You don't even have to shave off any IP. Although it's as long as your setting is close to and people could see where they could set it. I don't know.
I gotta
it's
say,
something,
if
it's something
the
that you put in. You know, if you
Yeah.
said, you know, it's like if you were to put it in Greyhawk, you could set it here. If you put it in Forgotten Realms, you could set it here. Does that automatically mean and also they could jump all over you? And also it's like, or does it matter?
Well, we would know that's a bone of contention point that would have to.
No, you could set it here.
Yeah.
the one thing that is a big, like, if DM's Guild opened up for Greyhawk, I would jump all over it, not because I'm looking to make money off of it, but because I want to get as much of my Greyhawk stuff in the hands as many people as possible. And the moment it opened up on there, you're going to have a bunch of 5th edition players and new players and players who don't know Greyhawk going, okay, what's this about? I want to look into it. And you can see that happen. Anytime Wizards of the Coast drops a new adventure path, there is a blow up of all this extra product that pops up on the DM's Guild around that. So if they were to open up Greyhawk, I would want to get some stuff on there so it's just not,
Like this.
you know,
This
which
super
one is that?
popular. Candlekeep Mysteries, super
Yeah.
popular. You know.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, just to get out, get some of my Greyhawk stuff on there, as far as, you know, my voice in what I see in the world there. So
Okay.
that's pretty
No,
much
it's
it.
a great- it's a great question.
ego.
Yeah.
It's not happening anytime soon.
No, it won't.
Joe
No.
Block, another great Greyhawk blogger,
Yes.
had a lot of 5e Greyhawk stuff like
Yes.
it ready
And they
for DM's
wouldn't
Guild.
do it.
Just
And
waited.
it-
Early on, when they even announced the whole DM's Guild thing, he had he might have approached other people, but he approached me to collaborate on said stuff. But that went nowhere.
He
I think-
released that to the
He
public.
released
Yeah,
it
he
public.
just said-
yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, my players use that material.
Yeah.
Great material. It's unbelievable
Yeah,
material
look
for
into it too.
5e.
It's-
Yep.
So
Yep, I used some of that stuff myself. So
And Joe has some Greyhawk with the serial number shaved off. His Mad Archmage Tower, which is his version of Castle Greyhawk,
yeah.
mhm.
which is, you know, it's published with I think Labyrinth Lord rules. So
No, it's some great, unbelievable stuff. And by the way, Alan Grohe is on a plane to North Texas Con tonight, so that's why he would not be able to participate.
Jealous.
Yes, I wish I wish
I
I
got a
could.
question. We know that Tommy's always working on something else in the way of fiction, and I've been,
Okay,
dropping stories into the OJ, and then later on sharing them again on my blog and also. But who else is working on anything from a short story or something perspective? I know Will's already done one at least, and
Yeah,
we know that Jason had some very long form stuff. I'm wondering if we're going to ever consider jumping back on that bandwagon.
yeah, well, I'm actually I have that A0 to A4 hardcover, and so I was starting out just now working on stories set in. Going to do a novelization of the Slavers, the way I did the novel of the Hill Giant Chief. So that is something that's going to be coming out, but I don't know. With all these other projects, it depends on what drives me to do it. So, but I did actually start last year working on a novelization of Ghosts of Saltmarsh, and I only got out about 4 blog posts on it, but
Wow.
that's floating around there on my old Hall of the Mountain King. You can find that starts off that story. And I was trying to encompass 5e, because one of the things that we've been talking about is the additions, and the additions are like the physics of the game world that you're describing. So if you're doing 1e, it's got different physics than 3e or 5e.
Oh yeah.
So it does actually affect the narrative storytelling, because they are describing different physical characteristics of these worlds. 1e works physically different spells, and when you do the novelizations, D&D combat is it's a simulation, so the combat you have to work out, but the spells you have to really know the magic systems. Clerical, you have to know those very well for the fiction that you're writing.
Yeah.
And it is different from 1e, 3e, 5e.
Don't get me started on spell sculpting. I don't want to go there tonight, right, Will? I hate it.
I'm not a fan of it either, Jay.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
You know what I'm a fan of? I'm a fan of spell components. That's what I'm a fan of.
That's cool.
I'm a big fan of spell components.
Tommy, your blog, as far as adding on to the storyline, you going to continue with that? Or you got any other besides the Hateful Wars? You got something new brewing, story wise?
I do have some new material that's brewing. Like I mentioned the Dim Forest, but I want to get through more of the Jeff material before I venture into the Dim Forest. And then, like I also mentioned, I want to get with Anna and work on Shieldlands. I'm attracted to the tales of Artur Jakartai, which is sort of our King Arthur character in the world of Greyhawk, I guess. So I've been spinning some yarns about him.
Very interesting on him, because isn't he in Furiundi as of the post?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
He's an interesting character because he's sort of a tragic hero that loses the love of his life and so forth, and also loses his knighthood and ends up as a duke in Furiundi rather than the noble paladin like Shieldlander that he which is his background. He's an interesting guy.
Good, Mike. You're about to say something.
I was about to say earlier, someone asked what's your least favorite place to play in, and I was whimsically thinking about the shield lens, because in my campaigns, it's just a battleground. There's never anything to it's been conquered over. I'm like, I must hate the shield lens.
But it depends on and
It's like Palermo.
yeah, and I was going to say one of the places that interested me the least are Central Keelland, just because it hasn't been a battlefield. It's one of these most organized, well-run. It's like going to the center of Germany to find adventure. Meaning, come on here. It's like it's the place I haven't seen adventures in forever. It's kind of a
Frankenstein and Dracula.
Yeah,
The
yeah. Meaning,
Carpathian
I'm sure you can come up with
Mountains.
lots
There's
of.
There you go.
so much that could
Yeah.
possibly be
You
brewing in, like the Dreadwood and all these
Yeah.
other spots.
Go to
But,
Greyhawk
but
Reborn, Anna.
then you're on
Packed in
on the fringes. I'm saying the heartland of Keelland, so to speak,
But see, that's-
around
that's
Neoldra
where
and the big shibboleth and stuff like that. It's like that seems to me kind of boring. Everybody's
Political
Just-
intrigue.
yeah.
And that's where I throw in
Exactly.
my
That's what you can do. You can, but then I want to upset things, and I haven't found an idea to upset Keelland yet. So, and I don't want to upset too many things at once. So yeah, that's why it was safe
You got to
take
burn it down, Anna.
Exactly. It's but the thing
That's-
is,
you
the
gotta live in
Shieldland is
Greyhawk.
already on fire, so that means that I can put some gasoline here and there, and it doesn't change
Campaign.
the setting completely.
Campaign idea: death to the silent ones. Silent.
See,
Silent.
there you
silent.
go. Yeah.
Oh,
mhm.
yeah, that could be
Yep.
interesting.
like for me, Keoland, that's where I set my Cthulhu hawk. And so,
Ah,
Central Keoland looks nice, but then you get to these villages and they're filled with this mythos corruption inside of it,
Okay. mhm.
Um, so
With the
go.
Miskatonic University right in the center of the capital.
Mhm.
yes,
It's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
So, anyone else with a question here before I throw out one? I'd love for you guys to keep on asking each other questions. It's always fun. Makes
Well,
our
a question
lives.
or
easier.
comment.
Go ahead, Mike.
I don't know if this is directed to anyone specifically. I'll just start with Thomas. So you put out a tribute video to Igwilv, and I don't know why I thought, man, this is great. It's one of my favorite characters. I like that idea, and then it got me thinking, Joe Block does YouTube videos. We got the Gray League. So I guess kind of the question is, because I've never done videos, I guess I do streams, but I've never done videos. Is anyone else doing videos? Thinking of putting out videos? You know what I mean?
So you're saying
To complement the blog.
right to YouTube. So it would be a blog video actually, because it would
Yeah.
never was live streamed. So okay.
Yeah, so that's what you just load them up to YouTube and then put them right up on, put the link up on your blog. So I don't know. There's the Gray League. I mean,
Yeah. I was just going to say
stuff like that.
Yeah.
that's
Keywords.
Near.
a lot of. They're a lot of work to do a video is a
Yeah.
lot of work. I mean that
Yes.
Igwilv piece is something that I had tried on some earlier software, and so then I finally, when I got Adobe Premiere, I wanted to redo it, and then they came out with the Tasha's Cauldron of Everything with all the new artwork, and so it gave me a chance to wrap that in. And Will did this nice piece too that I was able to wrap in. And, so that was just kind of fun. I looked at it as like a commercial, more of a commercial for the blog. You have all that Igwilv material on the blog. So I could see doing that kind of thing as a sort of a promotional type approach for
Not
whatever.
a regular feature.
It's from scratch. Like this is easy for me to upload this to YouTube, right? It's just it's a recording of a vid. When you start running one of them from scratch, it's amazing how short they are when you're done them, and you're like, oh my god, this thing's 5 minutes long, right? And that's the right. It is. If you do one of them from scratch, I was like, I ain't doing that.
Hours and hours of work to get 5 minutes. Yeah, you bet.
Yeah, and that's the problem with creating those vids. I know it's very challenging to be able to do that, but it would be great. It would be some great content, definitely.
Well, I thought
tell
it'd be
you,
to do like some geopolitical stuff with Anna, on the maps. You make some geopolitical videos that you could combine some of David's historical work with Anna's maps, and just get someone with the British accent to do the voiceovers on it. And
Well, we have someone coming with a British accent in 2 Fridays from tonight, this Friday. So we have the fancy mapping show starting there, Tommy, with Alyssa and Anna. So
There
we
you
will
go.
have something like that. But
well, Naz too, right?
what's that?
Naz.
Lots of
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Tim.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
David Shepard does an extraordinary Alec Guinness.
Yes,
Oh,
he
yeah, he
does.
can-
And
yeah,
he's
he
on
There you
now,
go.
too, yeah.
He should
Yes.
narrate a lot of more stuff. Yeah.
To tell you the truth, Mike, when I go back to streaming, I don't know if I guess what I should say is I'm seriously considering not actually streaming, but pre-recording and then releasing in video format. We did that once before with a series that we had, and we recorded it like normal, but then we would go back in, and once the video's there, it's much easier. You can edit it up, and then you can add like sound effects and special effects and things along those lines.
Yeah, my friend Eric used to do that for our podcast that I used to belong to. Record our game sessions.
That
and
was
then
the first time I ever heard you, Mike, was on the Conan one.
Yeah. Oh,
That was awesome. I love
yeah,
that.
that was unbelievable. I remember when he was finished putting in all those special effects and things, I was like, was I in this thing? It was like listening to something real professional.
Yeah.
Dave, I think you were going to ask something before. Were you going to say something before Mike hopped in? Or did I miss that? I thought you had a question.
No, it was just going to be another thing, and also about where everybody's favorite non-comfort spot was. But someone put out a better question about how much is interpretive and how much is truly canon.
Yeah, Doc shouldered it. It's a great question. So why don't
exactly,
we
it's
tackle
a
that one?
great
You want to start with that, David?
Yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with it. Like, if it's a better question than what mine was going to be, so I can start off with
Yes,
that.
please.
Mine is really easy to figure out which is interpretive and which is canon. So anything that's in regular text is mine, and that's how I'm putting my spin and my flavor, my interpretation on what the text actually is. And then I have text lifted directly from the source. And I've even gotten to the point at those where I was always putting little boxes at also saying where the source material was, and then down at the bottom of it, it also all the sources that I used. But now I've been putting down a dash in the page number as well, so that people can go directly to that's what I wanted to really put in there is the true canon text that's from the sources. This way people can make up their own mind.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. I need to be more diligent about that. Essentially what I would do is I would go and I would get source material, and then I would embellish where the in-betweens, it's like X happened and then Y happened, but they doesn't say, okay, well, I'm going to draw a line between these two, and then that's where I would fill in some of the things. So, but like the Bone March stuff, a lot of that stuff is just interpretation because that was originated out of a campaign. So, but when I took it and I wrote it into to actually put that information out there as blog, I actually went through and reworked some of that stuff so that I could add more of the actual source material back into it. Because some of it's well, that's a stupid name for orcs or tribe. I'm going to change that. So then I would go back and I would change it back to the original name.
Dwarvish clan of Ukaloa.
Yeah. Because the dwarves that I have that are in that I put down in the Bone March area, those were all mine. That was all my doing. So I took some like a couple of sentences here and there which talked in reference a little bit about the dwarves up in the Rickers, and then just expanded on it.
Tommy, you want to tackle that one, and then Jason?
Sure.
I try to use as much when in the writing for the blog. I try to use as much of the canon as I can, and you know, write around it. Because I zoom in so close. I'm more scraping for material from canon, and I'm not terribly worried about stepping on anything, because I'm focused in tightly on a particular story that's happening in a particular place in a particular time. So it's very rarely going to be any sort of canonical conflicts. So yeah, I try to use the sources as much as possible. And for my rough drafts, I footnote everything so that I can see where it's coming from and such, and make sure that I can get back to it and reread it. You know, I take most of the documentation out before I post it because it creates a lot of clutter.
Okay, Jason.
Well, I started with the folio, so there is no canon. There's just published material.
Yeah.
And what I do is I try to get inspiration from things, but I have no desire to just regurgitate somebody else's imagination. That's one of my objections to Sargent, is that there's too much detail, and I just want hints and references and suggestions. I don't want to be told what my campaign's like. I want suggestions of where I could take it, and I could ignore it or not. So in my own work, hopefully, I look at the folio and that material as like a Rosetta Stone. We can say we started here, and we can refer back to it so we have a common understanding, but then we go in different directions. And I enjoy most when people are going in wildly different directions. I like people to, I think what makes Greyhawk special is that it's everybody's campaign.
I agree with you, Jason, on that. I respect, and then I'll put in with the Sergeant era stuff that I can, that makes sense, and tweak it here. But as far as the Living Greyhawk stuff, it's almost impossible, for example, for me to implement most of that. Some stuff here and there, it's tough because when you do your own thing and you diverge so early, but that's what Gygax meant, is make it your own, which is cool.
Well, in the case of when you're doing the fiction, especially if you're zoning in on a small thing. And I think I've said this before, even way back in my, the very first appearance I ever made, on your Gavin, was, the big picture is fine. The macro world is fine. But, from an adventuring perspective, and even from a character perspective, you're in a microcosm that's in the bigger world. So the stories that I've been putting into, into the North Journal, if you'll notice, they're all small stories. They're all in some large epic context. Something that's happened, something very important, but it's from a personal point of view. It's like where sometimes the person might be instrumental. He might just be another cog in the wheel. He just might be peripheral, but it doesn't change the story. Like my first one, with the fall of Spine Castle. It was a very tight, small story because I really wasn't sure, how many words I could get into something like that. Then the other one, and also was like that wild perspective, but also it's like alternate Orth, and also if someone were to actually enter into the, be trapped in that spaceship, and also in the barrier peaks, and then now the longer one, it's like, how much did we really know about, Haraji Beartooth, in his trek into Skrellingshalt? Almost nothing, other than the fact that he came back with some golden baubles and also died within a year. There's so much you can do with that,
Yep.
You pick your spots, right? You pick them.
Mm-hmm. And there's so much you can do, and also it's like in a small narrative in a larger context. So you don't have to even be stepping on canon for a lot of that stuff.
And there's things that are maybe such a small blurb published somewhere in canon that you expand on. I mean, think about this. So, Tommy, how many paragraphs are in the Hateful Wars in the original folio? 2 paragraphs, right? At most.
There's not much more than that. Here, there. There's a line here and a line there.
Right.
Yeah, if you put it all together, you got a couple pages of text.
Yep. That's
And
where
it's the
you're.
personal tale. It's the central character. That's the important thing. Once you have them down, then the story will essentially write itself if you've done enough work on knowing what your characters are.
Yeah, absolutely. Alrighty, so I know David's getting close to that sleep time there, so we want to squeeze out as much as we can from him. Anyone else in the group want to ask a question of the rest of the group?
Well, I'd like to just, ask Mike, how that's going, being in retirement, what that's like. And
Yeah.
Oh, it's great. I get to sit back and listen to all you guys talk about your blogs and what you're working on, and kind of mentally build up a list of things I might want to do someday.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm amazed that Mike actually retired from this. Yeah, that's
we pushed
a
him
big
to
feat.
1,000. We got him to 1,000, and he's like, "That's enough."
It was arbitrary,
Yep.
milestone.
It's a good
What
Yeah,
is
milestone.
it's also
750? I don't
daunting
know.
too. It is a daunting process, especially like when you know that you're putting out, say, 2 a week or 1 a week,
Yeah.
and you're trying to keep up with that.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah.
You kind of sit back and going, "What am I gonna talk about now?"
No, it's so true. And Mike and Anna will tell you how often we are like, "What are we doing for Legends and Lore next week?" Right?
Oh, it's always sold itself one way or the other.
And it
so I'm
always
not
solves
worried.
itself. And the same thing
Yes.
happens with Gavin.
Yeah.
And then the same thing's going to happen with the fantasy mapping show, because we just started scratching the surface on that. That's going to be
Oh
a
yeah,
ton of topics
I have
there.
topics for 3 years to
Yeah,
come
because we're going to
on
do one a
that show,
month, so we're set for that
Yeah.
show.
Mhm.
That's why I do series. I was doing the Greyhawk Dragons. It's like, I got plenty to do there. Just go through and pick one.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can always go and touch on something. So, there's always a topic.
Well, think of it. I've been doing that with mine. You know what? You've only seen one of them so far. It also, it's like, but trade, sea trade, any sort of trade. They bandy that phrase around so much without ever having really discussed it a lot. Now, there are some articles way back in early Dragons that dealt a tiny bit with it.
Yep.
But give something a little bit of a guideline, and also on to help something, right?
So I asked the audience for final questions, but I'm going to ask something here. What predictions? So where are we going to be in 6 months, a year? What do you think about the future of Greyhawk?
Well, that shouldn't affect your blogging more than in positive terms. So yeah.
There's only 2 more lockdowns till Christmas.
Oh
Okay,
my gosh.
yep. Mhm.
And here, no masks. We're walking around like, we're Peter Pan around here.
Well, that's what we've been yapping about in America for a long time, and we have been eating it several times over. Yeah.
Yeah, things are going
So
well.
far.
Well, I'll tell you, basically starting this blog just before, COVID hit.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
been, a haven of sanity, more or less. It keeps your mind really
Yep.
active.
It was the perfect time to start a blog.
I think,
True.
I hate to
Yep.
say this, but I think COVID helped our community in the last
Oh,
year.
I
yeah.
think so too.
I agree,
Yes.
yeah.
Yep.
You
Mhm.
know,
Yep.
from,
Well,
go ahead, Jason.
I've got to say, it's really nice that the cons went virtual, because I can never go to them. So it's wonderful that there's been an increase and a push forward with the idea of online conventions. And
Yep.
I was trying some online gaming through Discord myself. So, I mean, if you want to talk about the future.
Oh,
You
yep.
got the word future.
Yep.
You want to talk about the future. Hold that thought. As soon as
yeah,
you're
but I
clear.
totally agree with you,
think
Jason.
about it, though.
Yeah,
It's like from that perspective, and also even something as large as like GaryCon, and also something as small as Gen Con, and has something as small as GaryCon. Like they were always limited by how many hotel rooms people could get to, and also with an easy commute. And so, like the fact that these things have gone digital, even partially, I get the impression that even when everything is opened back up again, they will probably still have like the premium things happening on site and live, and then they will always, I think they're going to have like a virtual, fringe festival going on at the same time.
I don't know if it'll even just be fringe. I think it's going to be the virtual will become as big as the in person. So, because you have no limit, technically.
Well, it's cheaper too. It's like if you put in $50 or something like this. Whereas if I were to go to, GaryCon, it's going to cost me, $5-6 grand.
Yeah, and I also think that virtual cons can be small and hyper focused. Meaning you can have a specialized little virtual convention for 100 people in the world that are interested in this minute little topic, and have a fantastic con. And then you will have. So I hope they can complement each other. I don't want to see virtual at the same time as virtual Gen Con, for instance, and so on. But I can definitely see things like Greyhawk Con and a whole bunch of a specialized small con with anything from 10 people to 500 or maybe 1,000. But so you can still get an overview and you can interact and stuff like that. So really specialized, focused virtual conventions, I think, is very much the future.
Well, you're going to get a hybrid because we all know the game.
There will be. Yeah, but I also think
GaryCon's both next year.
Yeah, but what I think is that there will be a virtual presence at the big conventions. Meaning, if you want to walk the exhibit hall at Gen Con, you can probably do that virtually very soon, so to speak, as well as real, so to speak. That's
the final piece, because once that gets in, boy.
Oh yeah, you will have like Google Street View of it. You can they've set up enough cameras to cover it. And you can go around it, you can see, and you can listen in, and you can whatever. Which is scary if you're in there and everyone on the world can hear what you're saying. So there is a privacy issue on that too. But there is. Yeah.
It's a good point, and we'll just have to see. We have our virtual Greyhawk Con set for the first weekend in October, and we're attempting to step it up beyond what we did last year, if that's it is possible, but that's what we're attempting to do. So we're going to see how many people we can get to participate this year, trying to get some real big names to participate in it. So, that's the goal. And hopefully it'll go well, and planning goes along, and we're not that far. We're only a month away from DMs being able to register and put in events starting July 1st. I mean, literally July 1st is the start date for that, for October 1st.
Wow.
So it's coming. So a couple quick questions. I think Rich asked, do you prefer blogs that are venturing stories or expand on lore? And I think that goes into the last question you all did. Depending on what you were. Yeah, they're doing, according to Cathay, I think they're doing PAX Unplugged in Philly this year. Right now, the answer is yes. So I know they're doing ReaperCon, and I should be there, but I won't be, unfortunately. So, anyone want to tackle that one real quick?
Well, I think stories, they bring the lore to life. So, I'm a big fan of the fiction. So, I love lore, and I'm big on referencing the published material too, but I think the thing that really brings all of this to life is breathing characters and fictionalization into it. And I just think that anybody who feels like they have a story to tell, that they should encourage any bloggers to tell their stories, to tell their Greyhawk stories.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the name of the game for me. And whoever's writing Greyhawk fiction, send it my way. Maybe I'll post it up for you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I don't think
I like doing lore,
here,
but
except for Will, has actually done much in the way of crunch.
I was going to say I like putting out tools. Magic items, subclasses, that sort of thing. That's the designer in me. I like doing that sort of thing. So
By the way, we did have a question a while ago about psionics in your game and who uses them and who doesn't. I missed that one, so I don't use them anymore.
No,
Except for
me neither.
monsters.
I stay.
Yeah.
Magic is enough. You can multifaceted
Yeah.
magic. I don't. Yeah.
Anyone like using psionics in their campaign currently for player characters?
I use psionics, but I don't use it as written.
Okay.
It's more like it's more like magic. It's just, you know, you have these sort of things, and
Okay.
you're casting it with your mind. Sort of.
Funny
Yeah.
psionics.
Mind affecting magic. Yeah.
Yeah.
1E psionics convinced me never to use psionics.
Yeah. Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Totally agree.
Same
Yeah.
here. Same here. Anyone else on that one? Alrighty, so I know this will take a little bit, so let's wrap around and tell us what you think about what's going on in the world of Greyhawk, what's going on in the blogging world and the community, what you want to see, you know, what some tidbits on what you may have coming up too. We'll go in reverse order from youngest to oldest this time. How's that sound? So we'll start with Will. In the streaming world, yes.
Well, I'm continuing on as far as the Greyhawk Companion on the blog goes. I need to get a couple more. I started doing regular magical items that are, have some sort of basis. They're not just any kind of magic item. They have some sort of connection or tie to Greyhawk. And I'm continuing on with the Paladin series. That one will go for a while, just like the Warlocks did. I have no idea how many entries I ended up with the Warlock. At least 20 some odd different entries, I would think.
Nice.
So definitely doing that. Continuing on with the play test of the next upcoming adventure, hoping that we work out these layout bugs for InDesign so we can get the print versions out a little bit quicker. So hopefully Tomb of Zang the Horrific will be in print soon. So,
it's available in PDF though already, right? Someone
correct.
asked that.
Yep.
Yes, that's what I
it's
thought.
available on PDF on drive-through. And just working on a long laundry list, which at the top right now is that Tenets of Faith. So, yeah, that's I think about it.
Very, very cool. And hopefully see you back streaming something Greyhawk in the near future. Will
it'll happen? It'll happen. I can guarantee that I will stream again. As far as the actual timeline, that's why it's a hiatus and not a forget you. I'm done with this crap post that I put out, because it's because it could be as long as a year or more before I'm able to get back.
How you placating Uncle Tony?
He's in the playtest.
Okay, good. All right.
So it's like I still have a nucleus of players that were cast members on shows, and that's basically they're playing in the playtest, and then after that I'm just a player in another game with them. So
yeah, you got your Dragonlance game on Friday still.
Yeah, and that there I'm in Adams, and that's kind of a hit or miss too. It's like we're on sometimes, we're not on sometimes. Whatever.
Yeah, understood. But sometimes that's the better way to do it, man.
Well, it's like the alternatives. It's like Adam wanted to still continue to do it, so it's like, well, it's all set up, so we went ahead, and so we're continuing on with that. So
good. That's good. So hopefully that answers some questions there with Will, and hopefully you can get Zhang right now in PDF. So
correct.
There you go. Awesome. All righty, Will. Well, thanks for coming on. I know we'll probably have some more questions bouncing around here before the end, but I wanted to. David, I don't know what time David's got a bolt. So, David, what do you got going on, man? What's rocking and rolling here?
You're my wife there. You got work in the morning.
Yeah, see, I knew it. So
I'm just plugging along, and also it's the same sort of stuff. But also I'm doing the bios, and I'm starting to do the monsters thing, and also then it's the histories. I'll continue them, but if you'll notice, it's like they come down to like monthly installments as opposed to like one after another because it seems like the the more I was in depth in that, when people saw part 13, well, they don't want to go back and read all those things, So not in a flow. So those numbers were tanking, and now they're coming back up again because they're interspersed. So as I said, just plugging along. It's as new ideas pop into my head, I'll continue on with that. I've got a couple of ideas for some long form stories that I think I'll probably be doing short chapters for.
Excellent.
No spoilers.
So I'm going to put everyone on the spot here because I feel like being a jerk. So Will already got the answer that he's DMing. So David, can we get you participating in any form at Virtual Greyhawk Con in October?
I don't know. Depends on when the games are. Depends on what edition.
They
whether
run
or not I remember
24/7. So
We're running stuff 24/7.
yeah,
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's 24/7 this year.
yeah.
Streams
time.
and games. Yep. Yeah. So, okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Okay. I'm going to ask everyone because we're asking all the big names to participate. So tonight it should. I'm
playing my game, David.
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely. Tommy, how about you, man?
Well, I've got I've got goals. You said 6 months from now. What are we looking for 6 months from now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what do you got? What do you expect with the Greyhawk? What do you think is going to happen in 6 months?
I'm encouraged to see the community continuing to grow, and I really appreciate all the old school players who are like holding the torch and so forth. But I also appreciate stuff like what Will is doing, to say, hey, Greyhawk translates into 5e, and we can pass this on to a next generation of Dungeons and Dragons players. And that's, if we have if we're missional, if you feel missional, and want people to still be defending the Flyness after we're dead and gone, I think that's a worthy quest. So that's kind of part of my inspiration. But I want to leave behind some hardcover stuff. So, well, not hardcover, but hard copy stuff. So, I hope to finish up the Hateful Wars and put it out into a hard copy format.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
That I would maybe make available through someone's Patreon. So I don't want to start a Patreon page, but maybe somebody else's Patreon could use it as some sort of like monthly rewards or something like that. That's kind of what I'm thinking of doing, is just to keep Greyhawk in front of people, just to to be able to put it in their hands and say, look, this is still happening. And I think that we've bemoaned in the past. We've talked about being like the abandoned setting, from Wizards of the Coast abandoned Greyhawk, but it's been fantastic to be the abandoned setting because that's given us all this opportunity to make it our own sandbox and to really enjoy it and develop it. So that's my thoughts on it.
I gotta interject one thing really quick. Sorry. That's something important to me with doing Greyhawk stuff and putting Greyhawk stuff out there, is because I want people to know this sort of thing. And it's important to me for us to pick up the promoting the past. And when I say that, I don't mean by addition, but I mean by the people who came before us with this sort of stuff and founded the industry. And if there's one thing that I can say that, and I'm sure I'll upset somebody here, that has pissed me off recently with Wizards of the Coast, is things like when Len passed, there was nothing that was said or came out of Wizards of the Coast at all. Not even an acknowledgement, and it's like you have all these different people who are in the industry. This is the freaking 50th anniversary this year of the inception of role playing, and they haven't done anything. Okay. Yeah, this is 50th year for Darkmoor.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, because it's 29 is the 50th year of since D&D was published. I think.
Chainmail came out, and the original role playing came off of Chainmail. Chainmail's 50th anniversary is this year. Nothing.
Yeah.
And so this all rolls into that with Greyhawk with me too. It's like I love listening and hearing about the old stories and how the industry was started and where it comes from and how, you know, it has evolved over the you know, the years. And I'm ecstatic with how role playing is currently, but I'm not happy at all at how the people who originated it and founded it are basically getting, you know, they're getting absolutely no love.
Yeah,
Well,
it wouldn't really take them much. And also, it's like if they had, you know, like a sidebar. And also, it's like, you know, with all of the bios, you know, like with pictures of
Exactly.
who were
it's
there.
not their
You know,
agenda.
the you know, the grandfathers.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know all
everybody-
you need to know when you go on DM's Guild and you see a disclaimer on an adventure or a download, which there are, and that tells you everything you need to know. They're basically saying these guys are misogynist jerks, right? I mean, that's what it's saying basically on this, and you got to, and you may get
No,
offended
they
if you
just said that it was written in a different time
Uh,
and their new sensibilities and stuff. So yeah,
Could you imagine saying that to talk about the book Huckleberry Finn, Anna? Come on.
That's what they do in libraries.
Oh.
Have done for decades. That's
And
what they
that's the
do.
thing.
And
Yeah, they can
museums.
separate that though. They can
Exactly.
totally separate that. It's
Yeah,
like you
they've
can
done it in
acknowledge what
museums
people came before.
and yeah, museums and libraries have done it for decades, meaning
Yeah.
times change and we need to acknowledge it. But that doesn't mean that we should disregard what's there. We should just make it sort of that
Yeah.
times have moved on and yeah. And I see that as a good thing, both of it. Yeah. As a good thing, but I can also see it's a topics that can stir up emotion. That's for sure. Yeah, change is kind of complicated. Yeah.
See what I did? Sorry.
Yeah.
No. This is
Yeah.
a great. This
Yeah.
is what the forum is for. Now,
Yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
I know.
Yeah.
All right, so everyone knows that I'm talking to someone behind the scenes at WotC, right? So I get some background information. There's a chance that something may happen at one point. It's not a high chance, but you never know. So there is something going on. But I'll say this is that I know a lot of them feel really, really, you know, upset that they have been thrown to the side and they're not even considered anymore. A lot of them have moved on. I mean, they have their own great companies, Monty Cook, Wolfgang, right? Eric Moen is, doing Paizo, and so it is what it is at this point. But you're right. Len was completely forgotten, and
yeah, that's so tragic because he should be honored as one of the early great influencers of the game.
Yeah.
Well,
And
even
that's
I mean,
what Gary Kahn's for.
Dave freaking Arneson, man. I mean,
Yeah,
it
I
doesn't
know.
get any bigger than that. There's him,
Yeah.
and then there's Gygax.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, you can't.
Meaning
give
the two
that guy a little
parents of
respect?
D&D in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Wow.
But they've been. I'm reading back through the Dragons now, and I'm into about year 2000. And when they were ramping up to third edition, they had several articles hailing them and stuff. But that needs to start again now for the 50th anniversary of D&D. So I hope they can start gearing up for that, like in a couple of years, and start seeing all the kind of the
You know, and I'm
references.
pretty sure that Len was the triumvirate, you know, like the triangle of that, you know, like because Dave was apparently, you know, muddled, you know, it's like he had great ideas but couldn't really, you know, put them out, you know, and then you had Gygax that also who crunched out all those books, and also it's like with a lot of help, but apparently, you know, like Len's contribution to that book were all three books were enormous, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's really the Ditko, you know. It's just
Gary, of course, with a snide comment. It was a lot of hard work putting all the racism into Living Grail Gazetteer. Thanks, Gary. Yes. Now you're gonna have a disclaimer on you too. So there you go. Now they're gonna remove you from Wikipedia again.
Exactly.
Remove you from Wikipedia.
Disclaimer.
Wikipedia for
the LGG already has a disclaimer, so
Mhm.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's funny. All right, so we made it to through Tommy, and we're on to Jason as far as your looks, right?
well, what I'm looking forward to would be more of the virtual and the online. You know, I hope in 6 months we see an exponential growth of what's been happening now, and you know, like people are talking about this time period with 5e, which, you know, is not my game mechanic, but it is the largest expansion the most popular that D&D has ever been.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yep.
it is insane. The heyday is now. It's not 1980. It's now,
Yep.
and that's remarkable. So I'm hoping to see, if not directly Greyhawk related, then online and virtual gaming expand in the next 6 months. That's my hope. Now, what I'm doing for myself, I'm very, like I said, I've been doing a lot of reading. So doing these voice recordings and voice annotations of the Gord novels is just one of the things I want to start with all the Greyhawk resources. I mean, I'd like to go through Ivid the Undying and read it and annotate it, but I'm going to start with the Greyhawk, see how that goes. I have very little tech knowledge, so I see how the recordings go and what help I can get on them. But I would say, if you are interested, check out the Greyhawk Cannon Fire Discord, and that's where I'm going to be doing the initial stuff.
Linked. Boom. Oh no, Jason! You got stuff. You ended at the word
Yep.
stuff. So yeah, try it again. You should be good. Yeah, Jason's like, Yeah, Dave passed a while ago. Go ahead, Jason. Try it again. Nope, still can't hear you. Wow.
Yeah.
So we have some.
But if we're gonna send people playing around the places too, and also we've mentioned them a couple times and those, but the Grey League, Tom's doing some really
Yes.
extraordinary,
Yep. Mhm.
really entertaining videos. It's like
Yeah.
he's been dragging stuff off of Cannon Fire and so on, and also he's been putting some really great, flavor to cultures and to countries, and he wants to do every single one of the nations. But it's going to take a while because it does take a lot of time, apparently.
Oh yeah, it's
Jason, you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
Go ahead.
Good.
We got to the word stuff. I know you're doing stuff on
what I was
Cannon
saying. Oh yeah, I was just saying that if you're interested in Greyhawk, Cannon Fire, the website is a 20-year resource of archive. Well, just about 20 years, and that is really place to go, and you can participate in it. It's just, you really need to check that out.
They're fun discussions. They are. And usually they go on throughout the middle of the night with crazy people like Puppet Dad and you, Jason, and Gary asleep at his computer, right?
Oh yeah, that's the
Oh,
chat
yeah.
in
Mhm.
Discord, but the Cannon Fire website.
Oh, the
itself,
website. I linked both. Yeah, absolutely.
massive archive, 20-year
We're hoping that the Post Fest gets out pretty soon.
All right, so Cannon Fire. All right, so wait, 20 years on the July 31st. All right, let me take a look at some dates here. We got to do a Legends and Lore then. All right, so we'll do July 28th or August 4th. There you go. All right. L and L. Fair enough, Gary. So that's 7/28 or 8/4. Before or after, we will do a 20th anniversary of Cannon Fire Legends and Lore. You go with that, Mike and Anna?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
How much longer they're going to start doing the next Post Fest, aren't they?
Well, we're still waiting on the Allen.
When's the next
Yes,
anniversary
chat.
for the Earth Journal? From its inception.
I just
Check.
saw something they just opened up.
Yeah, he
for
posted.
submissions. I
Yep.
think it was yesterday or so, or something like that.
But even still, if you're talking about anniversaries from, an anniversary of the very first one, and discussing all the
Oh
issues.
yeah. Mhm.
There's
Yeah, I
there's
see.
another Legends and Lore, Gavin or something.
For an Earth Journal,
For the history of the Earth Journal.
we are working on all Earth Journal editors for one show.
There you go. That's it.
Yep.
That's being worked on. It's being worked on. My
That'll
guess
be
is
a
that's
great
going to be sometime in the fall. Is my guess, but yes, that's being worked on. Yeah, chat demons. I saw someone mention chat demon in a Facebook post a day or two ago. I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Oh,
Yeah,
again?
mentioned that they used some content of his. I was shocked on that. So, all righty, Mike, we're to you as far as bloggers and what do you want to see happen or what's going
Well,
on.
I'm
too.
glad y'all brought up Postfest and the Org Journal because that was the last thing on my list. If you want to look for anything I've been doing lately, go to Org Journal and Postfest. Hopefully Postfest will be out soon. I'm already looking forward to the next one. I think it's supposed to be undersea themed
Yeah,
from what I hear.
yeah.
So-
Ocean, undersea, river.
Yeah, I like that because there's, the ocean's big, so there's a lot of untapped potential there.
I'm gonna write an article about river wizard, halfling wizard rivers.
Yeah,
I tried
exactly.
talking trash to Jay and I messed it all up.
Yeah, and that went right over here because I don't give a shit. No halfling wizards in my world, unless they're reincarnated or something like that. Or yes, or
A tour of all the brothels and all the ports.
That's a great idea.
Oh no, that's not.
And not just brothels, but like taverns or something like that. That's a great idea.
I got some good legends and lores and gabbins off this from this definitely. Particularly, we're going to do some. What do you think, Mike? Anna, we did an in-depth. We did an in-depth Greyhawk Adventures, but Jason would love us to do an in-depth Eye is the Evil.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we
And
do
an
that.
in-depth Marklands.
I really look forward to that.
Yeah, I think that would be a good one to do. And an in-depth Marklands, an in-depth. We do another in-depth Ivid the Undying. We bring a Shar back on. We do another one of those. I think that would be some good use of. Yeah, no halfling wizards. Yeah, no. I went through enough of this trying to get the 5 years to understand that there are no such thing as a tabaxi PC in my world. You know what I mean? And what are those? What
if it was a transformed house cat?
No. What are those blue things that run around? What the hell are those blue things that run around in 5e?
Blue things.
The blue angel things. What the hell are they?
No. Oh, jeez.
So you don't even know. I mean,
no, it's
Eldrins. No Eldrins in my game.
No.
What the hell's an Eldrin anyway? Azamar. That's
Asimar,
it. No
thank you.
Asimars.
Yes.
Oh my God. Yeah, dinosaurs are fine for me.
Half angels, man.
Oh Jesus.
They're gold skinned. They're not blue.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Blue or the
Oh
the
my
divas.
gosh. Can you
Divas
imagine?
are blue.
Can you imagine Tommy writing up the hateful words and right in the middle some freaking half angel thing shows up and saves the day and then disappears, kind of like a bad editing in a TV show.
Oh no! See, they're bound with humans and they interact and they live amongst them. They wouldn't just fly in.
Gosh. Yes, vampiric dinosaurs. Exactly. That's what we need.
Your halfling wizard is just an ogre magi. That's all.
Oh yeah, a shrunk.
Well, no.
You got shrunk.
What do you call the ones that are gnomes and go up to? Oh my God, big giants. Oh my gosh.
Furbolgs. The furbolgs?
No.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Goliath?
Spriggans. Yeah.
Spriggans.
Spriggans are Monster Manual too. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, when I ran Greyhawk in 5e, I didn't allow a lot of that stuff. But when they were allowed in, it became a very special sort of situation. And I changed it. It's like you say, was it Dragonborn? Well, that's half dragon. And there has to be a reason for that. And who was your daddy, so to speak? And how does that fit in and whatnot? That was the thing. And I think that's important with Greyhawk is you keep the flavor. So like, it's a matter of, well, if you play something like that, how the world interacts towards you, that's where the crux comes in, And then I had plenty of people go, well, why they, acting this? Because you're half dragon, man. They don't see those around here.
Yeah. Hey, play your Greyhawk however you want. That's the great thing. Doesn't matter what anyone else does. Just play it out however you would like to play it. So, blogger gents, before Anna and I do some shout outs, any final words you'd all like to say? Look at that. I know David's got a bold, so His wife's probably
That's my
like,
final word. My final word is good night.
David, thank you so very much,
night.
and I appreciate you coming on early and all, and thank you, and I hope you have a good one, man. See you
See ya.
soon.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
There we go. So we started an hour early to accommodate David and his very difficult work schedule, and thank you, David, for coming on. That was was
Yeah.
really cool.
Mhm.
So anyone else you guys want to say something in closing, and then before Anna and I ramble on a little bit here.
No, just thanks for having us on, Jay. I really appreciate the opportunity, and it's just always a lot of fun. And you're a great host, and
Thank you.
we all appreciate everything that you're doing to keep beating the Greyhawk drum, and good times.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to note something here. I'm going to tell you some names. Ready? These are streams that run 5e Greyhawk right now. Guild Superior, Stella Luna, Wily Hobbit, Greyhawk Tales, Perrinland Adventures. That's 5. Okay? So that's good. I mean,
That's great.
Yeah, so when we go back to the originals, it was Greyhawk, it was the Greyhawk channel, Will, and myself before Carlos came on, right? And that was
Yep.
it.
That was it.
That was it. So note that is we've come a fair way, and there's some others too that are going to be joining us and adding in to the content, and we're going to have a very nice amount of I guess does Armin do 5e as well? Is Armin a 5e? I think Armin may be 5e as well, because it's kind of a hybrid, but he'll be streaming. So oh wait a minute, Praetors Rejects 5e.
Yeah.
Praetors Rejects 5e with the slavers too. So that's 6 that are doing it on a weekly basis. So note that. There you go. There you go, Rob, too, as well. See, I know you're into Castles and Crusades too. We are doing. We need Barbarians of Greyhawk. Tino, that's coming. Tim's Barbarian Adventure game. Next one's July 3rd. So note that's coming as well. Blue Box is not 5e, Troy. Blue Box is a 3.5. He's not 5e. So, and I'm old school. Carlos is old school. And am I missing someone besides that? I think we got everyone. It's doing the plane exactly. I just wanted to note that this time last year we had a lot less. So Greyhawk is growing with the streaming world too. So it's a good thing. Yep. So I know Siderin, but you don't have to worry about it because I'm not going anywhere. I know John at Blue Box isn't going anywhere either, and I'm assuming Carlos isn't going anywhere either. So we'll have our old schoolers. And then if Will goes back to doing his OSE, is that what you would run again, Will? Or you're not sure?
No.
Castles
You
and
know what?
Crusades?
If anybody who no, not even that. I started with the old school essentials and was playing it, was having fun with it,
Yep.
and then I found my honey. Oh, the one is the best rule set for me. If you play 5th edition
Mhm.
and you want to have an old school feel to your 5th edition, go to the Scruffy Grognard and find his Advanced Dungeons and Dragons 3rd edition rules.
Okay.
Complete rule set. There's a player's handbook, DMG, and monster manual. And it's essentially, I quit. Remember when I was saying I was writing up the advanced 5th edition rule set
Yes.
to try and make it. I quit doing that because when I got these and I went through it and I looked through it, I was like, this is exactly what I was going to be doing. So I quit because it was already done.
The
So if
Scruffy Grognard. Okay.
Scruffy Grognard, advanced. It's called Advanced D&D 3rd edition. So it's his interpretation if they were keeping the same feel of the older editions, but we're adding in
Says I third that. So
new mechanics.
Here's my question to you: is it work well with Roll20? Are you doing it well with a VTT?
It would. You wouldn't be able to use character sheets because there's no character sheets made on Roll20.
Can you use the Beyond D&D Beyond sheets for it? Yes or no?
No.
Okay.
No, because there's too much variations of the old school in there. Like it has things like magic resistance, which doesn't exist in actual 5th edition. So there are differences in the mechanics, but it's a 5e interpretation of an old mechanic. So
cool. there's always someone out there that's thinking about these things, which is good. So,
Mhm.
yep, excellent. What system? What game setting does he play? Is he Forgotten Realms or you don't know? That's Scruffy.
No, it's Greyhawk. It's straight up Greyhawk. He has a Greyhawk conversion book in every.
Wait. Who is he? Is he anyone that we know in the community?
You want to know what his real name is?
Mitch Cumstein. No, I'm just kidding.
No, Jesus. No, it's Chris Perkins, but it's not that Chris.
Yeah,
Oh,
okay. Yeah, it's
he's
a different
awesome.
Chris person.
Oh
It's a-
yeah,
yes.
he's one of my
All right.
patrons. He's an awesome guy.
All right,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah. And here I'll find. I'm gonna find the link and I'll put it in. I'll put it in the.
Come on, I had to
into
put a
the chat.
Caddyshack reference in there.
But yeah, he has. There's a whole Greyhawk book that he has for
And I missed
character
that. I need to-
creation.
Awesome. Yeah.
For this.
All right. I will reach out to him and see if he wants to come on the show.
Yes, we need to.
All
Yeah,
right.
mhm.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
take
I
a
mean
look.
it's
I missed
literally
that.
just
Damn.
awesome.
Very
It's
good. Very
so
good suggestion.
Yeah.
Will, I appreciate that. So Gary is whispering me that he messed up, and the anniversary is the end of this month, not the end of
Okay.
July.
We need to.
So we're going, Gary.
End of
let's-
June then. Yep.
Wednesday, June 30th is your date. All right.
Yep.
So write that down. 6:30 is the date for the 20th Cannon Fire, 20th anniversary. Okay. That's it. That'll be the Legends and Lore 20th anniversary show, Wednesday, June 30th. Sound good? 6:28. 6:30, I mean, for the 28th. Awesome. Cool. All right. So Anna, what do you got going on?
Well, it's a lot going on, so to speak. So let's start with a little bit something that will be something that we need to talk about on the fantasy cartography show once meeting, the top-down or bottom-up approach. So when you do maps, you either start with a big picture and do a world map, and you kind of work your way down towards doing the single little keep and the dungeon map eventually, or you can start the other way around. You start with a little detail and then you work your way towards the world. And now I've tested the new generation Greyhawk maps. I've tested the bottom-up approach. That's what I've done for my Shieldlands campaign, and I've done about little over 1,000 square miles at 5 feet per pixel, and that works. I've figured out there are some limitations and some flaws to it. Nothing is perfect. So now I'm going to do the opposite approach for the Lendor Isles and for the expansion for the Atlas and expand down south, so to speak, for this year. So I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to do the top-down approach. And then I'm going to see which method of the two is the best, because now I see the limitations of the bottom-up approach there, especially when it comes to rivers. Rivers don't match. When you do one little bit and then you do another little bit, there's no way they don't sync 100%. So you have to kind of manually shoehorn things in, and I don't like that. I want to have a model that really works, so to speak. So I'm going to test the top-down approach and see how that works. And then when I've done both methods, I know which one works the best, or which end to actually use it, so to speak. So that's the big thing right now. But I can tell you the results coming out from my Shieldlands map looks kind of awesome. So it's only the vegetation. So will be a series of blog posts and articles coming out about texturing, about forest and bushes and trees and vegetation and stuff, and then buildings and roads and those final pieces, so to speak. And then all that material that I'm done will be available later this year. So you will all so you can put your roads, your buildings and all that in that stuff. So that's coming. But then I will move on to Lendor Isles and the expansion for the Atlas, and the Flanice map will not be expanded, but the Atlas will be expanded south over the ocean, and that's when I get the top-down approach. So that will come, and work on that will start in a couple of weeks. And then I have the next one. There was a bunch of topics. Now I've lost my train of thought here. because I got into it. Well, we have the fantasy cartography show is coming up, so that is a biggie that we will dig in. So I've started to collect topics and be working on getting the logos and all that stuff up. And my campaign will come on Sunday again. Will be the 12th session, I think. And they're level 1, and they're still storming the keep. So there will probably be a lot of undead fighting, and there will be fights with the Ayusian priests, and probably some demons and some other stuff in there too. And they're only first level, so it's going to be tricky. They have to play their cards well. They almost wiped out last week, so we'll see what happens in this week, so to speak. And now I forgot, remember what I was going to say. On my, I posted an update to my Earth planet model, because I got some good criticism, and there were 3 main faults or problems with the first planet model I did, and that was the one is that the cowhide factor is too high, and that's something we can talk about when we talk about Earth on Legends and Lore
Next Wednesday.
Yes, exactly. So then we have to introduce the concept of cowhide factor. That's a thing when it comes to Greyhawk. So that factor was still too high, so I tried to limit that one. And then we had the other big topic was maybe the biggest problem with my first model was that the deserts in the west were too big. They kind of took up most of it. So I sat down and with some good climate experts and ocean experts and some other biologists.
Whoops, I hit the wrong button. I did it! I hit the wrong button. I did it. There you go. Yep. Sorry.
So there's a new model now. So we tweaked things and so I think I like it a lot better. So there are a little bit less desert, and there are some very, very cool geographical features. They don't look that cool on a world map that way, but they could be really, really cool. So we got desert mixed up with lakes and rivers and a whole bunch of stuff that can be really interesting for campaign adventuring. So that was up there with the new climate map and stuff. So I haven't got too many reactions yet, which is probably good, because it's the critics you get first, so to speak. So that is coming, and then we have that is there, so to speak. So I'm going to stay off the planetary topic for a little bit, and yeah. So and then there's probably like 5 or 6 other items I was going to say, but I forgot about it. So yeah. So I lost my train of thought. So I'll leave it there. I've been babbling long enough.
That's okay. Awesome. Yes. Yeah, exactly. You need a bingo card for when I'm going to screw up and hit a wrong button.
Yeah.
Like I said, we started out with me not being able to even get on Twitch through XSplit, and then my sound being out because I had to reset everything. And now I'm trying to figure out who to raid. I'm just checking. Matt, Great Babe, if you're on, let me know if how long Triller Games is still going to be on. All right, so here's what's going on. Lots and lots and lots of content. In fact, too much. Well, not too much, but you get the point. Tomorrow night we finish adventure number 912, Never Let a Crisis Go to Waste. It appears that my arch nemesis group, the Dark Brotherhood, is up to no good in southern Selene and has taken a bunch of Vaprak worshipping trolls and ogres and giant trolls and is using them to cover for whatever they're doing. It's a hack and slash, but hey, sometimes I got to do something mindless amongst all the other content that's going on. Reaper Miniatures giveaway tomorrow night too, so that will be tomorrow night, 7:30 normal time. Nothing Saturday night this weekend. I got a week off, but next weekend we got 2 things going on. So Legends of Lore next week. Anna has already talked about it. We got the Earth. We have 2 Legends of Lore next week. So Wednesday we have the Earth, okay, and then we have a special Saturday morning, first ever. First ever Legends of Lore. We have the Finns coming on to talk about Living Greyhawk, Kingdom of Alyssa, at 11 a.m. Saturday, June 12th. Okay. That's a 6-hour difference for them. So 7 I think. So, but we'll have them go on. Yeah, sometimes you need to do a hack and slash, right? I will have, this is in the morning, and then we go 2 streams on Saturday next week. And then we have another, it's been a while, a Living Greyhawk All-Stars game. Saturday night special, 6 p.m. our time Eastern. We will have Casey Brown. So DM Dave, if you're on, there's your time to get those anti-hero points into Kilgarn again. Susan Threadgill, Vernon Vincent, and we have Anna. David Quick is a maybe, and then we're going to add Kayla and Stella to that group in for Death Comes Quick. I'm calling it Death Comes Quickly just to scare Casey. So that's the only reason I named the adventure that. So that will be next Saturday, and that'll be a fun Saturday night special. And then I need to get a placard for the Anna and Alyssa show, but we don't have a background set for it yet, so I'm not doing a banner till I have that background set. But
I'm going to
Excellent.
Alyssa and me are going to work on it. Yeah, Alyssa's fixing the actual logo, and I'm going to work on the background and stuff.
Friday night, June 18th, 8 p.m. EDT. So it's a Friday night stream. And this one will be a welcome, and Anna and Alyssa will talk about like how far they've come in map making, show some old stuff, right? And then show where they are, and we'll do a general Q&A before we get into specific topics. The first one will be a welcome to this stream. It'll be pretty cool. I'm excited about that. Amongst all the other things going on, and remember, July 1st is our sign up for Virtual Greyhawk Con, so it's coming. So we got Virtual Greyhawk Con coming very soon. And thank you all. We got 2 giveaways tonight. First one will win the $25 gift certificate to CSL Entertainment, and the second one will win this reprint of Greyhawk: The Adventure Begins, and I'll send that right out. Okay. Yeah, what a fun. Thank you, bloggers, for coming on tonight. I hope we got to keep on doing this. Got to, with new topics come up and new ideas, let's keep this rolling. Things are going well. Just keep at it. Everyone the community, thank you for that follow. Do what you're doing in the community. Everyone participates in a certain, their own way, and it creates a bigger, greater community that everyone benefits from. And by the way, 25 followers away. What do I do every 1,000 followers? I give away
the best dragon ever.
How many of these do you have, or is that a secret?
Well, let me just say I scour eBay for one that it's inexpensive.
Okay, good. So you have another 5,000 more followers.
So we will. Yeah, it's every 1,000. So for the. At least until we get to 10,000, maybe then I'll change things up after.
We'll see. Then you have to come up with some other cool.
Yeah, but 25 away, we may get that tomorrow night because we usually get about 20 to 25 followers on 20 nights. So every 1,000 followers, I've given one away.
That's
so
awesome.
that may be as early as it would be for Gavin on Sunday if we surpass it. I won't do it on a Thursday night stream. I'll do it on a talk show. So
I think I have one of these too, so I can contribute if I think I have one laying around here somewhere. Yep.
So thank you all. Let's do the giveaways and then we'll call it a night. I'm trying to figure out who to raid into. I may raid into Troller Games. Is it? I have something. Sometimes I'm able to get a bunch from somewhere. I don't want to go over how, but it's just, hey, it's fun. All right, Cloudbot, let me do this real quick. The winners are giveaways. I'm going to close it out. Last call. Yeah, Best of the Dragon Volume 3 is a great source book. It's got so many wonderful things in it and some great Len content as well. So, all right, I'm closing it out. Here we go. The winner of the $25 gift certificate to CSL Entertainment is Mechaform. And Mechaform just got VIP'd.
Oh, yeah, I saw him.
Yeah, there you go, Mecha.
Yep.
Awesome. Do I have your email or do I have your... I need your email address or I need your Discord, okay, to get you that. Yeah, grats, man.
Yep.
Grats on that. All right. Now, the winner of this, the Greyhawk Adventure Begins reprint, which is really cool, and I will send that out immediately. The winner of that is The Real Long Shot. Awesome. I know I have your address in my database for Long Shot. So we got them both. Thank you so very much, everyone, for a wonderful night. And we will, and just remember, got at least 2 giveaways tomorrow night, too, for Reaper. Keep them coming. It'll be a fun game tomorrow night. It'll be mindless, which my guys need because you know how that is. I know I'm allowed to do it. I'm allowed to bust them. So all the time.
Yeah, you are.
Yes, exactly. You know what I'm talking about, Will. You know. It's like, You know, lucky if they remember. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Troy Cannibal and
Good
Patrick
seeing you,
for the giveaways. And like I said, it's a pure tomorrow night will
Thanks,
be
guys.
an actual sponsor giveaway. Let's raid into Troller Games. I mean, we're gonna up this by like 10, 15 times. Okay, I think DM Samuel's DMing now. Is that correct? Is DM Samuel DMing? Well, that's where
Oh.
we're going. You know,
Awesome.
he's part of the community, so let's
Yeah.
help him out here. All right, we'll hopefully I hit the right button here. See you all tomorrow night. Thank you for a great show. Thank you, Tommy. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Will. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Anna. Thank you,
Thank
David.
you.
And
Thank you, Jay.
see you soon. All right,
Thanks, Jay.
have a great night. Boom. All right, Rating the Troller Games, one of our great sponsors. If I do this right. Troller. I know I hit the host button the other night. Yeah, I know. Well,
Been there.
you know, you see, you're laughing because you know.
Yeah, exactly. I know how that goes.
Yeah. It said something went wrong. Oh, great. Troller. Here we go again. Trying again. Something went wrong. Try running it. It's not letting me raid into them. You gotta be shitting me.
Is it a rerun?
No, it says 4 viewers. Maybe they're not there now. All right, we're gonna have to go someone else. It's not letting me do them.
One of these days. Yeah.
Yeah, Guild Superior's on, and they're running 5e Greyhawk. So let's do Guild Superior. All right. Now, what? Guild Superior. It's not letting me do them either.
So you can't raid.
You broke the internet.
I
Jay.
broke it. Let me try one more thing. Let me try one more crack here. It's unbelievable. One more attempt. I hate not raiding. At least I got long music here. Raid must be down. Rating must be down now. I can't do it. You gotta be kidding me. I can't raid in either one of them. All right, everyone. I don't know what to say. I'm gonna try. I'm just gonna try randomly raiding into someone. Now it worked. We're going into Dr. Faust's painting clinic. Dr. Faust is a good guy. All right, sorry about that. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. He's a great painter. See you soon. That is weird. Holy shit.
Yeah, because Troller is actually up.
It wouldn't let me raid into him.